Hello, Chrissy. How are you? Good to see you. Hello, everyone. Everybody come in. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Let's see, getting these mics out here. Hello. Welcome. I guess my music is not on. I'm trying to pass you guys some speakers. You got that? Okay. Some.
Hello, happy Friday, you guys.
Hey.
Hey, happy Friday. Happy Friday, guys.
Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Thank you for coming, everybody. I'm passing out some mics and we have special guests here, and I was just posting up some videos, so I'm trying to catch up here. Thank you for bearing with me. But
Hello.
hello. Hey, Dave. What's up?
I'm shaking.
Thank you. Are you going to be able to live post?
Setting on my computer as we speak.
Oh,
Yep.
thank you so much. I appreciate it. It'll be a good one today. Um, I am passing out mics right now. And Paris, I'm trying to get him a mic because he's here from Genmo. And welcome everybody to our weekend or week recap of the week. And I appreciate you coming and spending some time with us. We had another busy week in AI, and I just appreciate you coming here to hang out with us and hear a little bit about what's going on. And if everybody will, we do have a couple people that are going to be speaking today about Genmo. We're going to talk about some of the latest entry into the video, text to video animation. It's just amazing the speed of this improvement that these things that are, it's just amazing, extraordinary. We're going to talk about other things that Genmo is capable of and generative AI in general. And we're also going to talk about a project I'm working on, and several people that are here is the Terminator 2 remake movie, and that is super cool. So we're going to have Sway Molina come and speak to us about that, so he can explain how 50 of us approximately are working on that, and it's a lot of fun, and we're learning a lot. So thank you all. Thank you to my co-host here, and I'm passing out some more mics for everybody. So Taylor or Salma, did you want to say anything?
I'm so excited. I always love these Friday spaces every Friday. Yeah, I know that we have a lot of topics to get into. So I did just want to say a couple housekeeping things first. First off, if you guys are here for the first time listening, welcome. We've been doing these every Friday for, oh my God, Heather, we have to like tally it up, but it's almost been a year, I think.
Yeah, it's been since like
Like
January
no,
that I started
yeah.
doing these in November,
Yeah, I
and
was
then
gonna say like
we did the
November or
AI.
December.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've had some breaks in between, but for the most part, we've been really consistent with keeping these things on Friday. And the
Hmm.
goal is really just to, share what we're learning in this generative AI space. Lots of emphasis on, how you can make the most of it as a creator and learn all of these, cool tips and tricks that we're really doing at a grassroots level all together here. So that's what these are for. And I did just want to remind you guys the reaction, like emoji reactions are really important. If you don't mind throwing those in every once in a while, just so we know that, we're talking about stuff that people care about, and it just kind of keeps the vibes going. And then also, we do have some speakers lined up, but if you guys have questions that maybe you want to get addressed or asked and you're not able to grab a mic, go ahead and throw those down in the replies. If you're on mobile, it's in the lower right. I think if you are on desktop, you can access it. I'll pin the tweet up at the top. It's going to be like a weird postception type of thing, but I'll put the tweet up here because I think you can access those on desktop. And then, of course, Dave is here live tweeting our space, which is amazing. He does that every week, and I love to read them. Also, really good recap. And then next week, I'm going to start doing something new, too, where I'm going to be posting kind of a recap of everything that's going on. It's going to be over on Substack. So, Heather, you'll get the rundown on that first before anyone else. And then if you guys want to read about everything that's gone down in this space with all the resources, the stuff that we've linked to, Dave's amazing thread, of course. I will post that up in the top too if you guys want to hop into that. But I think that's about it. If there's anything I missed, I'm sure Heather, Salma, you guys can throw those in. But welcome, you guys. I'm so excited for today.
So thank you so much. And Salma and Linus and Alie are helping out today too on their panel. I appreciate everybody coming. And we were going to kick it off talking about DALL-E 3. I think if Linus, if who wanted to lead that one, because that's a big deal. It's not available. Does anybody have access to it here yet?
I don't have access to it, but I'm happy to do anything to get access. So if anyone listening is able to help out a man in need, I have seen a few people actually having access that used to come to these spaces. So yeah, I mean, I know that people have access. So exciting times. Should we talk a little bit about like the fact that this is now going to be like a multimodal thing? Like,
Yeah.
DALL-E 3 is going to live inside of ChatGPT.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that works, especially since like I worked a little bit with Bard last night, and I know Bing already had some capability of that. So yeah, can we? Let's
Yeah, I think from what I've seen, and this is just me kind of observing, talking to some folks. It feels like you're not really prompting, and this goes back to what I've said multiple times, that like I don't think we need to lose our heads over prompt engineering, because like when you're writing stuff into ChatGPT to get outputs from DALL-E 3, you basically just write a few words or describe something eloquently using normal words. But then when the model is trying to parse that and kind of create the images, if you look closely to what's happening in the demo videos, it actually spits out a longer prompt for each of those images. So it feels like there's some intermediate thing going on behind the scenes, taking like your conversation and turning it into like prompt ready prompts for the image generation to happen. It almost feels like the tool that we had on stage last week, was it, or the week before, where we were all kind of like just blown away by
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
J prompter. All right, maybe it's in the house. So yeah, that's exciting, but it also kind of pushes us in that direction where for most people, like I'm generalizing now, but for most people, you don't need to know the nitty gritty, right? I don't think it's bad to know like how to necessarily talk AI or like to be good at prompting, but I don't think you will have to be relatively good at it to create cool stuff. And that's something that I am excited about.
Yeah, I agree because that's partly like with Paris here from Genmo. A lot of that under the hood stuff there is really interesting with how even Genmo is able to that's no image reference that I'm using. That's just from a text prompt that it's creating these amazing videos from, and actually the starting frame, it's just unbelievable. So we've really gone pretty fast with how you don't really, I didn't really type in extraordinary prompt. They were pretty basic and it was able to produce that. So yeah, Linus, we are getting there fast. Oh, go ahead, Paris.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, yeah, I mean, I think this DALL-E 3 capability is really impressive. I mean, so we had Genmo Chat where you could conversationally create images before, and prompting is a huge barrier for many people. You know, like you mentioned in Genmo Replay, we actually utilize our prompter from Genmo Chat to make that work. But that's something we believe. And I think that's going to be really impressive with DALL-E 3 as well, removing that barrier.
And you basically have,
Yeah, I agree.
oh, go ahead. I'll say you have multimodal already in Genmo with the Copilot too, and GPT.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So if you go to genmo.ai/chat, it's live there. You can actually chat with a multimodal chatbot. It's publicly available to everybody. It'll make images and video, but I think its auto prompting is really useful. The big thing with DALL-E 3 actually is just image quality is also phenomenal to be seen once it's in, you know, everyone's hands. But yeah, I mean, paired with the model, I mean, I think, again, from what we've seen with Genmo Chat and how accessible it makes these tools, I'm really enthusiastic for how this can increase the level of creation that people can do.
Yeah, 100% agree. I was just going to say, like, getting that barrier down is going to make everything so much more powerful. Because right now, I guess there's a lot of people that are very interested in using AI tools. But to be frank, you have to jump through a lot of hoops in most tools to get something very useful out of it. And it's insane how many people are willing to do all these like insane workflows to generate like an image or to generate like a few seconds of video. And yes, there's a lot of tools that are making it easier. But I think if we look at like using automatic 1111, for example, for doing spiral images, like the things that you need to do to get that up and running is just insane. So the more we can go from like having to do a gazillion things to just being like one click or one this or one that, that's just going to change the game completely. And I think we also saw that with like just jumping a little bit, like, but with the introduction of having AI in the operating system. And this is something that we talked about as well throughout the year. Like whoever's going to get there first, they're going to win. And it's just going to kind of also push usability. And it is something I'm very kind of like pushing on every single week. Is like the usability of these apps, the UX itself needs to be like top 1% for things to be successful. Otherwise, it's going to, only be us, the nerds, that are doing things. And we'll do it regardless of how difficult it is. But for it to really go ballistic and go full mainstream, we need the UX to be better. And that's also to be said about Midjourney. So the moment Midjourney goes out of Discord, the world is going to blow up. Like millions and millions of people are going to onboard to Midjourney in a matter of weeks, right? It's going to go really fast. It's going to make their current numbers look ridiculously low.
Go ahead, Salma.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I agree. I think Midjourney has like there's too much friction when it comes to onboarding users. And I wonder how DALL-E is going to onboard their users, because I'd imagine if you already have like a ChatGPT subscription, does that mean they're going to charge more to use DALL-E, or they're going to keep it as one subscription? Because if they do, then that probably is going to impact Midjourney if they stay on Discord. I think Alie had like something to add to this about DALL-E and Midjourney.
Yes, I'm actually doing a comparison of those two. So I've gathered a lot of information. I also do not have access, so I am just going by what others are saying at this point. And there are still questions. I have more questions that I have answers at this point. And knowing that Midjourney is working feverishly, and by the way, I'm not trying to be a Midjourney defender. I'm looking at this objectively and trying to just analyze, pros, cons, all these kind of things, and acknowledging that Discord only user interface is a challenge, and they have even said that themselves, and therefore they have been building and are building their standalone website, and it will also have a mobile. But I think at this point, I feel it cannot come soon enough. I'm hoping it will be sooner than later, and it will be released in 2 phases. In the first phase, you are not able to generate images. It will come in the second phase for various reasons, but it is coming, meaning they are working on these things and they know that that is a challenge. Having said that, having DALL-E inside, or 3 inside ChatGPT, certainly exposes it to a much huge, it's a huge 100 million user base, whereas whereas Midjourney is 16-18 million total. However, very dedicated, very much like what Linus said, nerdy or willing to jump through these hoops to do this. But how much better will it be when it is on a standalone website versus what are going to be the most users doing it on ChatGPT? And also, again, it's still a much broader, so it is to be seen. And then also how much you can manipulate it, what you can do, what you can't do, what are potentially the safety things. For example, the other things that I discovered is that on ChatGPT, or aka DALL-E within there, They do not allow celebrity images created. They also do not allow, if you try to write an artist name that is either living or going to, or somebody that, within the last 100 years, it is not allowed. So if you try to prompt or write like create a, image of XYZ artist, that will be restricted. The other thing that people are often asking about Midjourney is the API. Midjourney has said, at least not at this point, and at least not for a while, is this API going to happen. However, this will be available for DALL-E 3. That is my understanding. So there seems to be a lot of pros for DALL-E 3. It is to be seen what possible, issues there may be. For example, we haven't really seen any kind of photorealistic or those type of images generated from the things that we've seen people generate in the early access so far. So is the quality going to be good enough and things like that? So to be seen is, again, I have more questions than answers. I am excited to try it. But still, as a, one of the more seasoned maybe users of Midjourney, I still see that there's benefits on that too.
Hey, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I was just gonna make a point on the user interface kind of angle. I'm a lot involved in like games and AIs, wrap up in games, just being like my childhood. And two things got released that are, I think, just bananas. One is that Roblox rolled out like a real time talking creative AI generative model. So they just like put a cow over there, make it blue, like you're talking and typing into the model, and like that I think is a huge. It just takes away so much friction for someone like that technology to be everywhere. And then this is also left field, but a game called Parallel is launching an online where it's a 1.5 AI based conversation. So people are now going to be able to talk to their character in the game, and the game is trained on an AI model that allows them to interact with their character. So it's a 1.5 player point of view. And those are examples of people that are just leaps and bounds, in my opinion, ahead of the same way that the person who can naturally flow language to DALL-E and ChatGPT will get more users, and the same person who can just fluidly talk to the AI speech model, like Linus said 2 weeks ago, like that I think is the future, and all the back end stuff will just be like almost like a ghost. You won't even know. But I think that's like really where we're going.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a very good observation. I also like, Ali, how we hear the Midjourney creation pings in the background there in Discord. I think when I think about DALL-E 3 and mass adoption, I think like mainstream. I don't necessarily think that it's going to be the artist's choice, if you know what I mean. Like that I am fully aware about how Midjourney works and how great it is, and I can only imagine how much better the alpha UI is for using it on the on the website instead of using it in Discord, and then also like whatever model updates will come with 6.0 and upwards, probably just going to blow DALL-E 3 out of the water again. But then when it comes to actual usage, just like you said, there's 100+ million people on ChatGPT that basically overnight will get access to like instant image generation, and that's obviously going to do a big push for generative images overall because of sheer volume. But I also think it brings some healthy competition, because I think now up to this, even now, like there is no competition to Midjourney in terms of like how good the outputs are. And yes, you can like argue Stable Diffusion XL with like your own LoRa's or your own kind of fine tuning could get you really far. But to be frank, no one is getting really close when it comes to these other platforms. And then the API, I've seen multiple like bigger platforms now offering creation, like Midjourney creation through API, especially Phygital Plus, for example. I'm not sure if anyone else seen that. I would be happy. It'd be interesting to hear what people's if people have intel on this.
What, Phygital? I've used it quite a bit. And we don't, a lot of people, they used to come on all the time, but we don't have that many people that use them. But they have quite a few. They have tons of things available, neural networks on there.
Yeah, and they released like a Midjourney integration
Oh, yes,
just
yes.
last
No,
week.
that's right. I apologize. I was doing something. I did not try that. And are they on here? Because that would be nice to hear how that goes.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're flying under the radar or if they're doing something they're not supposed to. But it is interesting because, like, if you can generate stuff through an API, then yeah, the possibilities kind of they go ballistic. Yeah, I have nothing else to add on DALL-E 3, so we can move on from that if no one else wants to chime in on anything around
Yeah,
that.
I don't. What the Salma and Alie, we were talking about in Taylor too. You said you were interested in the potential between Midjourney and DALL-E 3.
I mean, I think if anything, it's like, just to echo those sentiments, it's going to skyrocket DALL-E finally being, you know, kind of in the ranks of these other big competitors, which is obviously like Midjourney and Stability. And so, like, when I think about how I'm going to describe this to friends and clients in the coming, you know, weeks when this launches, which I think is looking like October, like mid-October, something like that. When people are asking me, well, what are the tools that you use? It's probably going to be those three: Midjourney, Stability, and DALL-E 3, because I think that's how pervasive, I guess, it's going to be. Just bringing this level of like generative image generation access to ChatGPT is going to be huge for the masses. That's all.
One thing I can add here, I feel like it's really interesting how people will kind of interplay these tools together. For example, using image conditioning from DALL-E as kind of a fast generator, and then you might move to a different tool to kind of upsample enhance. So it may not even be exclusive. Like, I think they will be highly complementary as well.
Yes, and I think one of the other points that I consider is that we have so many different tools right now that we're juggling and jumping from one to the other to the other. And if you can make it easier where you can generate something in one place, as for many, it will be through ChatGPT because they're already there anyway, it certainly makes it, you know, a lot more streamlined from that standpoint. And again, it may not be for everything, but it's just one less extra step that you have to take.
Alie, you mentioned something about DALL-E will be like rejecting certain styles of artists or like public figures. Do you know anything else about that? I was also reading that artists can opt out of having their work, you know, used on this training model. So I'm curious if you have any more details about that.
Yes. So the way that they're saying is that it is the DALL-E 3 is designed to decline the requests that ask for an image like in style of, and then a living artist. I can't think of any right now, but whoever it is. So I mean, obviously it's being built in it so that when you ask for a certain word, it will not generate it. And then also it's done so that it declines requests that ask for public figure by name. And then the third portion of that is that as a creator or an artist, you can now opt their own images out from the training of the future generation models.
I'm so curious how that works. Like, would it require an artist to just input a bunch of their work? And that just becomes like negative, I don't know, components to the model.
Yes, I don't know exactly. I mean, and my question is, okay, it says for the future generations. So what if they've used that now? I don't know. What does that look like? Or you say that, okay, me as the artist, I don't want you to use my stuff anymore. So I'm assuming they would submit some kind of thing, and then their name becomes the negative prompt or whatever, and anything that they will use in the training set, they make sure that those particular words, whatever they may be, that artist want their own name, for example, is not being used, or if they have like a specific thing that they do. I don't know exactly for sure.
Interesting stuff either way. Did we want to keep on the DALL-E topic, you guys? Or
Well, I guess since
Heather,
it's
what
not
are your
really,
thoughts?
it's not in our immediate future. It's not going to be available until what, next month? There's not much we can do.
Yeah, that's going to be a big conversation though when it happens. I can guarantee you.
Did you guys
Probably
see
an
the,
entire one just about that.
not to, I mean, to sidestep, but did you guys see the AI news rollout with YouTube Creator Suite? I feel like that went under the radar, and that's pretty insane.
Yeah, I did see.
Yeah, that's what I'm totally excited about.
That's like, as a content creator
moon.
on YouTube and my business stuff, I was like, where was this 10 years ago? Like, I spent so much time editing videos, and it auto dubs languages to other languages. That's how Mr. Beast grew like parabolic, because he like dubbed his stuff in other languages. Like, that's insane for creators.
Do you, Dave, have a quick like bird's eye view of what those updates are?
Fill the space for 30 seconds, and I'll pull up the YouTube announcement, and I'll read it off to not be
It's
wrong.
basically that they're putting out a suite of tools as well as an app, and so there'll be a mobile app. They're really talking about enabling creators, but I think it's going to be bigger than that, and they're twice the size of TikTok. So this is essentially their answer to TikTok.
Yeah.
They have something called Dreamscape and Dream Screen, which is doing AI generated backgrounds, which is something that TikTok was doing over a year ago. Didn't get a lot of press, but it's all this stuff is really relevant to what I'm building with Scene-Play, so I'm thrilled.
Yeah, I mean, what it seems like is they've been playing it slow and steady, and making sure that like whatever they launch to their user base is going to be very competitive. And I think are you pulling the things up, Dave, or?
Yeah, you bought enough time for me to pull it up if you want to.
Perfect. Let's go. Let's go.
So yeah, I pulled up the thread, and it says that it's a creator studio, and essentially it's giving people the ability to auto dub in real time. Not real time, sorry, in like recorded video. It's giving a auto green screen when you start doing videos like selfie videos, and then you'll also have the ability to translate and look at scripts and edit out pieces like from your video. So I think Descript does that, right? Which is like the auto edit. So it looks like they're trying to do audio tracks. They're trying to do editing. I think they're also trying to roll out quick editing, like jump cuts and stuff like that. But I'll put the tweet thread. They have a really good tweet thread inside of it, but it looks crazy. It does look pretty crazy.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things that I saw in all of this is like the personalized AI insights. So like based on your your channel's current kind of overall performance, the content, like it goes through and like look at all the transcripts, everything that you use inside of your video, and then it comes up with like ideas for you. So it's like helping you to generate more stuff that fits your audience and that works well for your audience. So almost like a co-creator alongside you. I was really excited about that. And then I think they're calling the dubbing feature allowed. So basically what we're seeing with HeyGen and all these other tools, and this is something that I probably said like 40 times since January, all the stuff that we're seeing people stringing together using different tools and uploading like different versions everywhere, the big platforms are going to put this natively, and all of those companies are going to be like, okay, now what? And that's what we're seeing now.
Yeah, nobody can touch YouTube in terms of the mass of training data that they have. I mean, they're double.
Exactly, correct, 100%. Yeah, I mean, just to give you a number, YouTube Shorts generates 70 billion views a day.
Yeah,
it's an insane amount of traffic.
As well, but this is huge news for me. It's really, really exciting. I mean, somebody who I asked to be my CTO like in 2012 wrote me last night. He's like, "Wow, this is so Scene-Play-esque." So with Scene-Play, we start with the script, and any script, and make it intelligent so that it can synchronize all of these experiences. So what we saw with early YouTube was after a while they got to collabing, and collabing is built into Scene-Play because anything that gets made with the smart script onboards all the data necessary for it to automatically be stitched together with other users. So if you said you had a compound ID, in what Linus was talking about, which is their personalized suggestions for you and your audience. Now think about doing that in a compound way with other creators. So that's going to get insane.
So are a lot of these YouTube updates then primarily around like the generative on the creator level, for more so for, I guess, optimizing content? So things like descriptions and collaborating with other creators? Because I know that, like, the reason I'm saying this is because I know that a few months ago, Google had played a pretty heavy investment into Runway during their big, like, billion-dollar valuation. And so if you guys ever questioned exactly what Linus said, that these big, tech companies are going to come in and swallow up a lot of these smaller startups, but also bring those capabilities into the platform, that's definitely a big thing to look out for. So, like, I know that Google, who also owns YouTube, is investing in, like, more than just the creator dashboards, but overall into these, like, generative capabilities. And we all love, I think, Runway these days. So yeah, just a point I wanted to throw in.
I think this came up like maybe 2 months ago. We were talking about, like, when all the tools started to come out, is like, who's going to be the tool or the brand that puts together like an all-in-one. It helps you edit your video, make you small clips, gives you a transcription, which you can turn into a blog post. Like, the point of these tools, rightfully so, I think, is they're trying to make the legwork of post-production and creativity, like labor, come out of the equation, so it's more time for creating and actually making content. So it sounds like that's what YouTube's trying to do, is let's let the creators not have to worry about a virtual background or editing or transcription or language stuff. So they have all that time back to just get more stuff and creatively do it. And most of these, like, small bootstrap starter creators don't have a lot of money to hire marketing people for social clips and do whatever. They're doing it all on their own. So it sounds like YouTube's trying to, just give them a little bit of an assist, which is great. That's exactly what I think they should use it for.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on. It's like the announcement was basically like a suite of AI tools for creators. That was it. It just feels like we've had a lot of this stuff from TikTok, like CapCut, like the spin stuff inside of the app, outside of the app. Like, now it feels like YouTube is like stepping up, but also making sure that what they are doing actually is good. So, like, they've taken their time, and to the point where, like, yeah, the big companies making investments in the smaller companies and then using the IP and their own tools in a way. That's what we're seeing with Microsoft, right? Like, with the acquisition of 49% in OpenAI, and now we see Windows 11 with Copilot and AI everywhere. I mean, that's because they invested 10 billion into OpenAI. So
it's going to be hard to compete.
Yeah.
Well, you called it right last time. It's been, it's all rolling out just like you said. The companies, the corporations are stepping in, and it's going to be difficult for smaller builders and developers to get out there and get products out there that are competitive and that offer people enough of an opportunity and a chance to use it without having to be onboarded, like we said, and just having the availability of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we've seen is like small shops moving really fast, doing a lot of really cool things, and we've seen the incumbents move insanely fast as well. If we think about, like, the big tech companies for the past, let's say, 10 years, 5 or 10 years, they've been taking a lot of shit from, like, cool startups doing cool things, and startups, going from nothing to 100 million users. Like, there's plenty of those stories, and the big companies is kind of just like chugging along and mainly been doing business on enterprise, and that's it. But this time around, it's like the big companies have the data sets, and in the AI race, like, data is king, right? So the companies that have the most data, that have the most kind of resources at hand, are the ones that are going to come out of this with the upper hand. And of course, they're going to be smaller companies succeeding. That we're going to have the Runways, we're going to have the Midjourneys, we're going to have the Stabilities, but pretty soon they will be relatively big companies in comparison to a lot of the other players that we're seeing in the field. But there's going to be a big leveling, and I'm certain of this because of how the landscape is, and also because how insanely expensive it is to train if you don't have the data and you need to buy data. So, yeah. That's my 5 cents.
Paris, since we have you here, because you are kind of in the face of all that, you're exactly doing that, where you are the smaller company that's coming out, and you have your the way that the algorithm works and the way that you're able to generate these videos that from a text prompt that rivals Runway, Pika, everybody that's out there right now. That's amazing. So how do we get more people to be able to use it? What do you need for people to be aware of it? Because I don't think most people knew. I didn't know that that was possible, but we have all these people that are listening now. Like, what can we do to take advantage of this opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, we've been working on this model for quite a while. Me and my co-founder Jay, we're both like academics, and we did our PhDs at Berkeley and worked on generative AI, the foundations of the models for most of our PhDs. So I mean, we have all this cool tech, and we love training models, and we have that creativity and ingenuity to kind of develop it. I think the hard thing is like learning what's really usable and what people really want, and kind of just finding a way to provide it to them. And so with Replay, that was our attempt to kind of like try to make the easiest to use way to kind of create media for anybody. We have users in more than 55 countries all across the world. And I think what's incredible is, as we kind of roll out easier to use interfaces to this technology, it just like increases usage by a step function each time. And so that has been a big priority because, again, as researchers, I mean, I think Ajay put out a lot of early diffusion collab notebooks and things like that. And that stuff was not usable, right? And so starting the company in some sense was our attempt to kind of fix that problem.
And you said you're looking for creators, people to test the products out and post these things so that people it helps you to continue developing it also, right? So we have people that are on here now, and we're using all these different types of animation and video tools. So please take a look at Genmo. It's free. And you can use it right now at 40 credits a day free. And after that, it's you just go to, that's fast generations. Then you go to slow generations. After that, you still can use it. You don't have to pay. But if you want to pay to have more fast hours, then it's like $10 a month or something like that, right? It's not a lot.
Yeah, we priced it very aggressively just to try to increase the aggregate amount of creation. I think I tweeted this yesterday, but I was talking to one of our investors, and he mentioned there's 1 billion hours of video are viewed on YouTube every day. And there's nowhere near that much content being created. And so how do we just make it easier for people to create the kind of content they each want to see? Because I think everybody has different tastes, different preferences, different identities, right? And so making it easy to use and make it low cost and available to anybody is really important that way.
And you made it like your UI is just, it's sick how it's so nice to use that I think I posted on there like a screenshot of all the controls that are available just for the camera control. It's amazing how many different, and even like aspect ratio, there's a slider, but there's 7 different aspect ratios you can select and customize for your individual generations. And that's just amazing in itself. But yeah, you can customize the speed. You can change the speed or the rotation, the strength, the motion. There's different levels of zoom, more or high. And then you also have the AI magic that will auto select it for you. If you want to, it'll pick the best aspect ratio and the zoom, I believe, and panning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a really interesting feature. So we had, and just as context, with Genmo, we launched video back in January, but that was animations, so not full coherent video. Then we launched a chat product that was a multimodal kind of DALL-E 3 ChatGPT level product, and so that's actually publicly available still. But we found that we couldn't move fast enough there to ship our video models as fast as we really wanted to do, and so we made a dedicated UI. But that AI magic mode that will kind of give you good high quality video generation out of the box with just simple prompts, like that's powered by our multimodal LLM because that has the capability to take text and soon images as input and generate videos as output. And so that is really what's doing that, like automated prompt rewriting under the hood. So you can literally write like banana bread, I think, in Genmo, and it will generate a really high quality video without a long complex prompt.
Yeah, it's really good. And do you anticipate having like integration with voice, like the 11 Labs or something like that later?
Yeah, it's not something we've prioritized just because like we're so resource constrained just being a small startup. But I think, we want to focus on video, but if you can pull in audio from things like Murph or 11 Labs, like I think that would be so incredible and be able to just like export out video and audio now. But we generate about 2 to 4 seconds. And so I think we need to get the length up first before we kind of think about introducing audio into the equation.
And you have GPT-4, but it goes beyond that already. So if having those kind of other plugins and integrations would be something, because you already have the access to the well, not internet access, but you have that creativity that you get from GPT-4 beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, this was the thing when we launched our alpha, we found probably 70% of our users would enter in 2 to 4 word prompts, things as simple as kind of like a puppy. And so models at the time couldn't generate good content there, and users would be unhappy in turn. And so that's where this LM capability was really important for us. It was just like, whatever you put in that box, you should hopefully get something good out of it within a couple of minutes. It shouldn't require extreme expertise, but if you do prompt engineer, you can prompt engineer Genmo Replay and really squeeze the quality out. So it's not like it's it's kind of a training wheels, but you can take them off and just access the raw power of the model.
That's so crazy that it's just, yeah, just the thought, even considering all this is kind of like we've been so stuck into trying to figure out how to control the Pika and runway and different things. Now this is a whole different, it's a whole different situation. It's just wild to wrap my head around. Rob, Lennon, thank you so much for coming by again. And since we were talking about the prompt engineering, we were going to talk about the Terminator movie in 1 second. But since we were on this subject of the way that these, different co-pilots and the way that the prompt is affected and with what we're outputting, did you want to add anything to that, Rob?
I think I missed too much context to be able to jump in just yet.
Well,
Sorry.
thank you.
I just got
thank
here.
you for coming by. Thank you. In line as we were just talking about how the need for prompting won't be as big because of the way that these products are, these tools are developing.
I do have strong opinions about this, and I do think that some people are getting it wrong and going down a dangerous thought process. You want to hear about that?
Well, are you familiar with Genmo? I don't know if you were able to see my post, but they have there is a text to video generator that is really very accurate, very good, high quality, and you don't really need to prompt anything. It does not use an image reference right now. That's strictly from the text prompt. So Paris Jain is here to talk about that too, but we were just wondering how that plays into the debate about the need to be able to prompt engineer.
Yeah, let me just plant this seed for everybody listening, because I think that this notion that you don't need to prompt stuff or you don't need to engineer your prompts could lead to a certain level of laziness and over-reliance on the tools. And so if we think about the state of prompting, like especially, yes, with images, there is some ninjutsu that you need to use these days to get your images perfect. And sometimes you're adding all these extra things, like in Midjourney, I'm going to add like 4K, 32K, take a professional headshot photo, like all this extra stuff. And I think a lot of that will go away. However, the ability to clearly communicate exactly what you need the AI to produce is not going to ever go away. Just like communication is never going to not be a good skill for humans to convey information to other humans, right? And so, like, yes, and I'm even working on a prompt engineering bot that I've been training with all of my mega prompts and all of my different techniques, and it's actually going quite well, and it's getting pretty good at taking a shorter input and then expanding it into a GPT-4 or Claude 2 input. So like, yes, again, there will be tools to help, but you will never not need to write a good prompt in the sense of communicating exactly what you need. And I think that no matter how good these adapters, in my head I call them like adapters, get at filling in the things that help the AIs generate better content, you'll still always need to know some tricks and some ways of conveying information and get a sense model to model of what works best. And I'm really not convinced that that's going to go away. So this thing like prompt engineering is going to die? I don't think so. I think it's going to evolve. It's going to become more accessible. It's going to become easier. It won't require so much memorization of specific words and phrases and techniques, but I don't think it's dying at all.
Rob, that's a really good point. I wanted to ask here, I mean, today the technology is mostly text conditioned, so that's the only interface we have to the models. And so how much of this do you think is the fact that like you have to encode your communication strictly to text, which makes it difficult to prompt engineer, versus like maybe what if you had UI widgets and the ability to kind of fine tune it in a way that's not just text?
Yeah, and you see this, or at least I see this playing with Midjourney, the difference between blending images or using an image prompt, which has so many different data points and tiny little fractions, right, that Midjourney gets from that image, versus the amount of information I can convey in words, even in a very long, wordy prompt, and how those words, like in tools like Midjourney and Stable Diffusion, longer prompts are treated somewhat differently. Like the weights and so forth start to get stretched out, or I don't know exactly how to explain it in words, but like you can't just throw 10 paragraphs of information into a prompt and it is the same level of nuance as using an image to prompt, right? So I think that as models become multimodal, like picture this, for example, imagine giving your prompt as a video, like it's prompting with your face, with your expression, with your voice, with the intonation, and with your words. And imagine if for certain cases that all that information is useful to the AI, and how much more nuance you get from all of those pieces of feedback than just from words. So I'm with you on the idea that it feels like there's more here. But that said, I think that text is kind of the way that humans love to communicate. It's easy, it's fast, it's cheap, and that's probably not going to change all that soon with text. I think text is still going to always, or for the short term, be like the dominant way that we want to interact with these things.
Yeah, I think you're correct to many points here. I don't think I constantly say this, that like prompting, you shouldn't spend too much time becoming like this Jedi prompter, and what I mean with that is like, if you memorize specific tokens or if you memorize specific ways to work around, yes, they work really well now, but as soon as kind of the models update, as we're seeing they do rapidly, less and less of this becomes important. And then token, like the length of the context window, this is something that we talk about now, like we talked about like the dial-up speed on modems back like 30 years ago when we got the internet. So all of these things will go away, and they will go away really fast. And I wouldn't be surprised that like we see AI models that are able to ingest all your data, like literally every single piece of information that's on you digitally, and fine tune towards your persona, your needs, your style of communication. You don't have to do anything except press a button, and then whenever you ask for something in plain language, just very well communicated, of course, you will get that, and you'll get it in the way that you want it. That's not a future that's far off, not from my vantage point, at least.
Heather, how far do you want us to go down this rabbit hole?
Well,
I
you know
feel like
what?
I've taken it in a different
Well, how
direction.
about if we because we're going to talk about in the same context, and hopefully Nem and Sway, we were talking about the movie, because what we're doing is we're using these tools to generate tons of images, and to try to create stories, visual stories. So if I'd love to hear from them, if you don't mind, in just like how this plays into all the different creators that are here trying to create different things from these image generators in video generators. So Nem Perez and Sway Molina are here, and they were going to talk about this project, and it's a pretty amazing thing, this Terminator 2 remake. And it's going to be a parody, but it's still, we're taking it very seriously. There's at least 50 creators right now, and we're all developing a 3 to 4 minute scene, 2 to 4 minute scene, I think, that will be mimic like a section of the actual movie. But I'm probably kind of going on about it, but it's a really cool project, and I'm working on it, developing poster art. I'm not doing a scene, but it's just a lot of fun, and I wanted to let them say something about that, since a lot of us are working on that and other projects in using these tools. So welcome, Nem, Perez, and Sway Molina.
Hi, we actually casted Heather to be the Terminator. So
I'll be too nice, probably.
well, thank you for having us, and I think we can have Nem to initiate and tell the story about how this all came about. And I'll chime in and elongate the story.
Yeah, thanks, man. So yeah, basically, I think Heather explained it beautifully. What we're doing is we're recreating the Terminator movie using artificial intelligence, and we're collaborating with 50 AI artists who we picked from the community. And I see a lot of us in this chat. I see Ben, I see Captain Haha. But yeah, essentially what we're doing, it's actually not an original idea. About 10 years ago, a group of filmmakers did a very similar project. It was called Our RoboCop Remake, where essentially they remade RoboCop and they divided it up into 50 sections, and each individual group went off and created a section of the movie as a parody, like basically rewriting the script. Some aspects were animated, some aspects were done by puppets. Like sky was basically the limit. And what I saw was, a few months back or about a month back, is there was all these artificial intelligence artists that were making these incredible trailers, including myself. And I just had the thought of, okay, like, when is someone going to make a feature length film, right? Like someone's going to do it. And I saw in the Venice Film Festival, some people already have. But basically, that's the question that I was trying to answer. And that's kind of between the inspiration and what I saw in the community is how we ended up with our T2 remake, which is the official title. Sway, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, yeah. Well, we're entering our third week of collaboration, and we've seen such amazing progress. And this was a very scary project to get into, because how do you manage, right? 50 people that volunteer to do AI in a professional. We're trying to do this in a professional way, and thankfully, the grand majority in there are professionals, all are experienced AI creators, filmmakers, animators, and just the quality of work and the collaboration itself, it's exhilarating. It's really exciting. So just to give you a little bit more of an understanding of what we're doing, we're practically taking the Terminator storyline and we're just giving it our own spin, our own interpretation. So that means we're either making parody or joke on the state of AI today, or of the scene or of the characters, in a very ridiculous way. But our objective overall, is to really share with the world that AI is not something you should fear. Not after your jobs. It's not something that just. It should be something that should encourage you, should inspire you, should lean you towards learning how to use it. And by God, I just can't wait. We're really trying to put pressure to get this finalized within a week or two. So baby steps, but so far it's been pretty successful. If you guys want to check out want to find more details, and we'll post it on Twitter. It's our t2remake.com. Hopefully, you can go ahead and join the newsletter there. That way, we can keep you up to date with everything that we're doing. Hopefully, we can share more content, memes, trailers, and eventually the movie.
Go ahead, Taylor.
This is so cool. I'm beyond excited to see how this all comes together. I guess I just have a question around, like, if you care to share some of the higher level production workflow of this, because like you said, managing like 50 creators is a lot of work for any type of project, let alone decentralized sort of internet-based AI creator project. So curious, like when you get all of the content, the video, the clips, the audio, all of that, like what does that workflow look like? How are you guys producing it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, for those who aren't familiar, I'm actually a professional filmmaker. I've directed a bunch of TV campaigns for Disney, music videos for Chance the Rapper, things like that. So I have experience mostly in post production as well, outside of directing. So I direct, I do post production, I do animation, and I've actually done a few projects similar to this. For instance, one of the first campaigns I did for Disney, we collaborated with 25 influencers and we all shot original content in the park. It took about 4 months of post-production work. And so this is something I'm very familiar with in terms of organizing and structuring these types of things. So my expertise is that. And Sway, the reason why I reached out to Sway is because he was already doing such a phenomenal job in community building with his personal community. And so it just made sense for us to combine our two strengths of me with the filmmaking backstory and then him with the community building. So the way that we're doing it is all through Discord right now. We have a private Discord that we're all communicating in. It's really cool actually because we have individual rooms for each scene, and all of us can kind of like go in the room and see like what this creator is doing at that time in that moment. So we've already got a couple scenes that are done, and I can peek into, like, let's say scene 22, and I can see that that artist has already completed their work or they're sharing work. We also have rooms where artists can ask for help, things like that. And then essentially, once everyone is done, we are going to combine all of the scenes. And this is the part where it gets a little bit complicated. What we're going to have to do is sort of like remaster the work and maybe go back and fine tune some scenes so that they match up, and it's a nice coherent experience for the viewer. What we've also done is we've hired a composer, an original composer, to compose the film, make original music. And we also are talking about sharing voices. We're also looking into actually hiring an Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonator because we don't want to infringe on his voice, things like that. So we're using like practical elements that you would in a typical film, but then like supercharging it with AI. Sway, do you want to add anything to that?
No. You pretty much said everything. Yeah, it helps that Nem is a professional director. We actually met on set. I'm a professional actor, and on the side, I've also done video production myself. So us and like many others they have similar backgrounds. We also have inside the community the people who are directors in Germany and people all over the world, by the way. So that's something that we haven't mentioned. It's like literally we have people in all parts of Europe, in the US, and it makes it really, really exciting.
And they also, can you talk about how this, since it's a parody, it has to be a parody since it's a remake, and how the great pains you've gone through, that we are not using anything from the original or anything from the actors or, the sound, everything. We don't want to, everything is all created. I might prompt something in there for Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I'm not going to use an image reference or something for that.
Yeah, we have some guidelines, and you could see that on our website. Basically, this is a parody. It's a nonprofit endeavor. We don't want to infringe on anything. I know that's a very sensitive subject, so we're still trying to see what we can get away with for now. It's just an art project, right? But yeah, we're trying. We've consulted with a few attorneys, things like that, to see like what is possible. But essentially, we're not trying to make money off of this. Essentially, it's an art project to make a statement about the art of AI. There's a lot of fear in the world about AI, and our artist statement is saying, "Hey, AI is a tool for artists. It's a great way for us to express ourselves, and it's not the scary world that T2 painted. It's actually really fun, and the movie's going to be really funny, and that's kind of like the statement that we're trying to make with this."
Which is why using T2 as a support, the storyline support is so perfect. Because if any of you have not seen T2, shame on you. Go see it tonight. The Terminator in there, he's not bad. He's the good guy. It's Sarah Connor, the evil one. So those people who do oppose AI, those are the scary ones, right? Those are the guys like, hey, don't turn into that thing that you hate. We're all trying to have fun here with AI. So practically, in a nutshell, that's what we're trying to do.
It's so cool how it's being run right now, and it's such an interesting. I'm so excited to be a part of this because the Discord is so organized, and it's so nice because we each have our own rooms, and I'm doing poster art. I have my own room. The way they did the scene selection was very organized, and put that out and told people don't peek ahead of time, but you can kind of like watch back the movie, but everything you had to check it out on a cart for people who were choosing scenes, and it's very professional, and there's a lot of collaboration going on behind the scenes from all the creators that are here. And thank you all for coming. I see so many of you guys right here, and it's just great. Dave, Tom, Marcos, Ben, there's just Captain Ha, there's so many people here. It's so much fun, and it's an opportunity to learn something too. So I can drop in on these chats and see what are they doing. What would you do for this type of animation? We were able to get a secure, a private room in Pika, a channel within there to generate without watermarks, and just trying to further that. So that's helpful. And Paris, if you want to offer anything, we'll be happy to use that. But either way,
I'd love to support this. This is so
like people
awesome.
just don't
Yeah.
know about it, and I thought it would be something that would rally the community. But they had a intro, a meet and greet. Basically, I missed that, but I watched the Zoom recording, and it was just like, man, I wish everybody got to go around, all these people from around the world, and talking about their favorite movie and why they were doing this. So it's a great experience, and I'm just so happy that I got to be a part of that, and I wanted more people to know about it because I think that it's really interesting. And we're going to try to get it into some film festivals, right? So it's just a way for us all to kind of shine and just to highlight people. No money, just doing this out of the love of doing that, creating.
I also want to say, Paris, by the way, I created a quick little Terminator clip. It's somewhere here in the space feed, so you can go check that out. Definitely reach out to Nem and I. Well, we also want to thank our sponsors. We have Pico on board, we have Traxi on board, we have Kyber on board, who's been really helping us and really trying to have these companies support the cause. And one big, massive shout out to the creators themselves. You guys are doing an amazing job. Thank you, Heather, for this platform that you've given us to share and create the buzz for our film. Really excited. And thanks.
And by the way, we have about 8 scenes that haven't been acquired yet. So feel free. I guess the best way to reach out, Sway, what would you say? Like sign up for our newsletter, or like maybe send T2 Remake on Twitter a DM, because we're still looking for a few more artists to fill in a couple last minute spots. So yeah, I mean, there's still an opportunity to be a part of this.
Yeah, you can reach out to any of us. I practically live on X, or just join the newsletter, and you can reach out to us via email.
And T2 Remake has a mic. I don't know if they want to say something. I'm not sure who's on that mic, but you feel free to go ahead.
Arnold.
Oh, that's just
Oh,
me on my other device.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is so cool. Can it speak? Because that is really cool how you do the summary in the voice of Arnie, and like you use AI for that. And that's cool.
Yeah, we had a little mascot, a little a little bobblehead Terminator that was talking to all of the artists early on.
It's you guys can take a look at the pinned tweets at the top, and Sway just made something with Genmo. I think Sway or Nem looks really good, guys. And make sure everybody that's in the room. I'll just go again. Like if you see the chat below here, we drop everything in there. You can plug yourself, put tools or links to whatever in there, and just take a look down there. You'll see all kinds of interesting things. If you have questions, ask them down there. And if anyone who can answer it, please go through and answer those questions, because we have so many people who have experience in different areas that are on this call, or who might stop in later and take a look at the chat. And please feel free to go ahead and answer those questions. But it's a good way to network and just learn a little bit more. All these people that are here in the room, look at their profiles, follow people, see the amazing work they're doing or what they're involved with. Please take advantage of that. But I appreciate so much you guys coming and speaking, and if you just hang out. But I don't know, Rob, I don't know if you were aware of that. In my panel, I've been trying to talk to them and tell everybody about this. But in light of that, like, what do you see like the future with what we have right now, and where we can go with how to use these tools effectively?
Yeah, and I want to say I love this project. When I did my Barbie movie short film, it was about 6 minutes of film. Took me 25 hours to piece that together, 4 seconds at a time. Like this is a lot of work to with the current tool set to make these things, and so breaking it down into 2.5 minutes. Um, it's I mean, the amount of organization that you guys are doing is epic, but it's also going to enable this really epic outcome. And I think it's brilliant, kind of the way that you're tackling this, because otherwise it's an insane amount of work. I think we really are approaching this world where there's a group of people, and many of them are on this call, where maybe the technology isn't ready to make a true feature length film, right? Of the quality that you go to the cinema today to experience. But it's getting there. And those of us who are learning how to use today's version will be the first who are able to use the production ready version of these tools. And whether that comes out in 6 months or 3 years or somewhere in between, whenever it gets to the point where it's ready for mass adoption, there's going to be this group, and it's like, it's us. We are going to be the ones who start to make content. And I just think that this is such an incredible opportunity. And in terms of like speaking from my own personal life, I was preparing for GPT-4, for example, back before it was ready, when you could only use 3.5. And as a result of experimenting with what's the outer boundary of GPT 3.5 and how can I push it and kind of be ready for what GPT-4 might be able to do, I was able to then immediately use that value when the new tool came out and do things with it that, other people, it took months for them to catch up and figure out those techniques. So I just love how I feel like I'm part of this community of people who are all helping each other like be on the cutting edge of an extremely fast moving technology, shifting really quickly, getting better really quickly. And we are all enabling each other to keep up with kind of this technological momentum that has, at least in my lifetime and the things I've been involved in, nothing has ever really moved this fast. Even the fastest changing technologies didn't get so good, so much better, so quickly.
Yeah, and to speak on that, this week I had a really major accomplishment, in my business partner and mentor Thomas Haynes is here, and to speak about how quickly you can level up and just learn how to use this technology. We were able to collaborate with Inter Milan and we have one of our AI generated images was displayed for the Champions League game the other day. And that we couldn't believe it. But the crazy thing is, yeah, everybody knows I've been doing this for a while. Thomas he was really not into AI, and he was pretty resistant. He just started learning how to do this a month ago. And he came up with all these different concepts, and we were kind of comparing back and forth. He learned how to use Midjourney, Leonardo, Runway, Pika, all these different things. He was putting together prompts, character consistency, and we were able, because we were given a certain brief of, the things that they wanted to see in that image, and every single thing in there means something. To the word, flachazo, and they have a whole theme, and the colors and the snake and everything. It all has a meaning. So we went through all that. So there's all these little fine details that we spent all this time, but he did that in a month. I mean, not only that, he has a horror movie that he put together with a bunch of 2 to 3 second clips, or 4 seconds from Runway, that he scripted out. It's a 3 or 4 minute movie that's already on his YouTube channel. And it's really good. That's what I'm like. So if you can do that within a month, imagine if we're working on this together and we just continue, the tools just keep getting better and better. The more we're sharing, and this access to these tools it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm seeing this play out, this theme, and we were talking about it a few minutes ago too, in other areas as well. And so the theme to me is, what do we learn how to use now, and what do we sort of adopt now versus the future? And I think that, like, I was reading about companies that spent millions of dollars with high-end consulting firms to do custom implementations and fine-tunes of GPT-3 like a year ago, and how all of that money and all of that effort has essentially been wasted because the new models are just so much more performant, that these like multi-million dollar GPT-3 based systems like aren't better than just asking GPT-4. So I think that we're in this interesting zone of like, use all the tools, do all the things, don't overcommit necessarily in like doing something custom or some kind of implementation. Instead, like, just take advantage and learn like the big skills. Learn how do you think about visual art if you're not used to doing motion pictures? How do you conceive of a story? How do you prompt, generally speaking, in a way that you can use across Midjourney, across Pika, across like whatever it is? And the other thing, I'm more of a large language model guy, and the thing that I've been really thinking about a lot lately is data sets, and it's kind of the same idea, which is like, I may want to create a data set to do a fine tune of Chat GPT 3.5, right, or GPT 3.5 Turbo right now. It's not like, and that's not that expensive. You can do this for like under $10 and get a pretty good fine tune. But what's going to be powerful about that isn't the fine-tuned model, because that's going to get replaced in 6 months by something else that's more powerful. But that data set, I'll be able to fine-tune the next model with that data set too, and the next model. And so as you're creating art, whether it's creating characters, creating stories, creating prompts, creating data sets, like you can realize like, hey, this character is always a good character. This creative concept is always going to be a great creative concept. And like the whatever process you use today to manifest it, it may change. But I guess I'm saying to everybody, start thinking about like, what are the pieces of whatever art or whatever work that you're doing that you can carry forward onto the next thing. Because I think that, like, I'm already seeing certain investments kind of go to nothing, right? I spent so long in the Midjourney beta trying to figure out how to make hands look good and eyeballs look good, and like all hundreds of hours, it feels like, of trying to get 5-digit hands, and like all that work out the window, right? But the rest of the things I learned in that process, totally useful. So that's just something I've been thinking a lot about.
And does anybody know what is going on with these hands? Because I think Linus brought this up recently, but it seems like they're getting worse all of a sudden, where it's just weird.
Yeah, they're definitely getting worse. I'm sticking to the mantra, fuck the hands. Like, I can't do anything about them anymore. Honestly, I don't know what's going on. It feels like they're tweaking stuff behind the scenes, because like, if you reverse like 2 months, we were getting better hands than what we're getting now. So something's definitely going on.
And on that too, sorry to jump in, but like, I feel like the morphing problem's getting worse too. Like, I've been using more control stuff in like Runway, like the control factor and stuff, and I wasted like 40 credits with just like auto warping like 1, 2, 3, 4. It didn't matter what direction. It just like turned to a blob. And I was like, that's not right. I like went to Pika for a bunch of stuff because it just wasn't working. It's the first time I abandoned my go-to.
No, I've had that happen where, yeah, for a while I just said forget it and went to Pika because it didn't matter. I didn't move my motion from 2, and it was coming up with all kinds of wild things that were appearing in there. So, and just flipping into like other bodies and all kinds of crazy there. So, yeah, that I think maybe with the camera controls, it might have kind of like threw it off a little bit, maybe, but it's really weird.
I mean, this is where what it takes to train a model or to update training, it's such a funny problem because it's a black box. And you're trying to sort of guess, if I give it all this data, more data, is it going to get smarter and better and do a better job at things? And I think sometimes you move something in the right direction and move something else in the wrong direction. Like I use 11 Labs a lot for voice. And they have the V1 model, and they have the new V2 and V2 English, V2 multilingual. V2 multilingual is clearer, is more a more accurate representation of the voice that you cloned from. It's all these amazing things, but you know what? I find it to be not as expressive or emotionally sort of resonant as the V1 model. And so in giving it all this more data and trying to get it clean, and like, I don't know what their process is for training these things, but it's like 2 steps forward, half a step back. And I think we're seeing that with some of these other tools. And I have a feeling that eventually there's going to be like a multifaceted model that figures out, oh, for the hand piece here, I'm going to use sort of this, I'm going to think about it in this way, or use this tool. And for the rest of the render, I'm going to use this piece of my AI. I think we're going to get to a land like that. And it's already suspected that that's what ChatGPT does, that it figures out what kind of query you have, and there's actually multiple models behind the scenes, and it picks the one that's most suited to your type of query. But yeah, I bet visually we get there too. Or I could even see just special in painting tool like hands and feet, eyeballs, or whatever it is, for fixing those artifacts. But it's funny. I was talking to Rachel Woods. I don't know if you guys know Rachel. She's another big influencer, especially on TikTok in the AI space, and runs the AI Exchange, which is a great community. I was not paid by Rachel, but just awesome. And we were joking about AI generated foot models, like it's popular to sell feet pics apparently. And I was like, oh, I could make millions. And so like I ran home, and of course the first thing I did was try and generate feet pics, and I could only get 4-toed and 6-toed feet, and or feet that were part shoe or sock, part foot. And I was like, no, millions of dollars, like it's never gonna work. The
You almost made me scream with
pics.
that, because yeah, the feet are like, they're scarier than the hands. And yesterday I was getting legs that had feet on both ends of the legs, and they were like, what the hell is going on? They're getting worse and worse. You see gorgeous faces, and then it's like, what the hell happened there with the feet? But
yeah, so we've got to have patience with it. But I like, this is why I'm so happy about in painting and like Zoom or Pan or these other tools. It's like, well, we don't have all the fixes to be perfect in the first generation, but we now at least have a set of tools to get there, to start at a certain point and end up somewhere else, or to fix the detail that's wrong, and not by compositing and retouching and all the like stuff that visual effects artists have to do. Like now it's just draw a circle around the feet and hit render 3 times until they have the right amount of toes. So I feel like we've come a long way in a short time, even on that.
Paris, can you explain like how you already have the AI can sense, adjust automatically for the zoom and for the aspect ratio and things like that? And it's amazing, like how does that work, and how do you think that it would be like we were talking about with the data sets, and when things change, you already have that availability and you're able to produce good looking images so far. That do you think it will change once you get more data, or how does that even work to help
Yeah,
with because with all those customizable settings, you could also use the AI to pick the best settings.
it's really interesting. I mean, we have feedback from our large community on the Genmo chat product previously, and that's kind of what's guided us in choosing better and worse prompts and better settings for pans or zooms or rolls. And so we just rolled the camera controls out today. But it was really important that we had a default setting there that just worked, but also let people kind of override the AI in some sense and directly tune it. I'm hoping as we kind of see what people do, in the situations where they kind of override the AI there and you know, set a specific pan value or rotate or zoom, we'll learn like when it contextually makes sense to apply those effects. But that's really, I think, the director's touch, and so that's why we wanted a physical control that someone can actually modulate to kind of tune that.
It is nice to have the options though, because I don't have a director's background, so I was kind of just messing around with it. But it is nice to have like I just tried some on my own, and then others where I just let it choose it for me. But it gives people the choice if you don't feel comfortable. But you do have all these different options. Plus, you learn what can go into different motion, different animation scenes by seeing all those different settings. That's helpful too.
Yeah, I mean, when we went with web here, we contemplated, putting some of replay in Discord, but I think web is the best place to expose kind of a power user interface for people. So you can see all the controls and see what's available. But at the same time, I mean, you'll see this in the camera controls release, but we made it a plugin. So it's off by default, but if you want to tune it, you can add the plugin in and get it. And so that's meant to not intimidate new users who are just exploring creation for the first time. And, they're just trying to figure out what the best prompt is before they go and tune the zooms and stuff. I think this is, again, a data-oriented problem, but, this is something that will keep getting better over time, right? But I mean, as long as you can kind of override the AI here, like we felt comfortable releasing it early and quickly. Again, this is something we released just like the day after our release. But it's because you can kind of override what the AI does, and so it doesn't feel like, kind of like I described, if it's just purely AI co-pilots doing creation, sometimes it feels like pushing on a string. Like it doesn't go where you want it to go, and you have a specific vision for what you want to accomplish.
Oh, go ahead, Rob.
Oh, so I don't want to dominate. This reminded me, and this is an opportunity for all you guys out there to make some money. There is a complete lack now of the right kind of training for the AI-enabled creator. And what I mean by that is, if you look at this example, we need to understand some of the concepts in cinematography, in visual storytelling, and composition. But I don't need to necessarily now know the same set of skills that if you look at a course from 5 years ago, or what you would study in college, or how you would learn these things. I don't need to know how to set up that shot with a real physical camera, but I do need to know what doing that, like how editing that in works, like what emotional what it's going to emotionally bring to the scene, what I can do with motion, what kinds of shots look good. There's an opportunity here, if you have that skill set, to create a resource and share that with the world and maybe sell it to the world. That's like, this is how to understand these concepts for the AI enabled person. Same thing with coding, with publishing apps. Now, like in a world where I don't necessarily need to know all of the most advanced coding concepts, how can you teach somebody enough about coding that they can be somewhat enabled by AIs and be able to deploy their app and be able to do things when the AI can kind of tell you what the code means, but I still need to understand, what's Vercel, or when am I using TypeScript versus JavaScript? Like there's all this other information where I don't need to be a master of TypeScript or JavaScript, but I need to understand when that conversation's happening, what that means, right? So I think that there's going to be a whole almost like redoing of education in the context of what AI enables, and where it requires specialized deep knowledge, and where you can kind of get by as more of a generalist with the AI behind you. And so anybody out there looking for a side hustle or thinking about digital products or anything like that in this group, I want to recommend that you kind of think about do you know something that other people are using AI to do, but they don't actually know the other pieces? And can you teach it in a way that sort of lets people know what they don't know? No,
Well,
I'm not
I'm
making
doing
this up.
that
You
right
know what I
now.
mean.
I would like to do that. That's exactly my goal. So where would you start? Like with a online course, or how would you market yourself to or find people to offer these services?
Yeah, I mean, my business has been online course based for the last few years, and it's definitely not the only way to make money online, but it is a pretty good one, especially if you have an audience, if you have distribution, right? So this only works for me because I have followers, because I create content, I give out value all the time, and so if I want to sell something, I have a relationship with people, and I've given them a taste of what knowledge I have, and so then they come and they buy my stuff. So if you're in order to do that, you have to have a bit of a platform. But then if you are creating a product, like one of the ways to do it is to take a problem and to go solve it, to document how you solved it, and then to package that into like a checklist and a case study and a walkthrough or a tutorial. So if the problem is how do I set up shots with using AI that look cinematic? How do I light them, so to speak? How do I think like a cinematographer? You could go out and solve that. Do your Terminator 2.5 minutes. Write down all the things that you think about, all the considerations that you have, and then you format that into some structure, some framework, some lesson, where you're like, hey, here's a couple of different lighting setups. Here's a shot in the real world. Here's a shot in AI when I prompt with that same language, and this lighting is suitable for these scenes. You put together a few modules like that. Like I'd buy that right now. I could really use that information, right? And then maybe you show the final product or give the person a project or something like that. I've used this type of technique before. Like I did a mini course on Twitter profile optimization, and what I really did is I went to a couple of people and I optimized their profiles for free. I recorded that experience, and then I used that as the basis for the mini course, and then I also used the transformations as like case studies and testimonials. So
That was very
I
effective.
don't know. I did,
That was very effective. I remember that. Man, that was smart.
yeah.
So that's how you would lead into something like that,
So
or just to get people used to your courses.
yeah, I guess the point is, if you want to make money online and so you make money by solving people's problems and then charging for it, you need to make sure that you're solving a problem that needs to be solved and you're solving it all the way. And one of the ways to do that is to actually go solve the problem. And I know this sounds like ridiculously obvious, but I see a lot of creators be like, I need to make some money, so I'm going to write an ebook on this topic that I know about. And they don't go out and figure out, like, is this the right topic that people, like the right problem that people need solved in the right way? Like, they're just sort of picking something they're good at. And then it's not framed in quite the right way, and it's not really sellable. Whereas when I went and did that Twitter profile thing, it was like literally people were just DMing me all the time to do their profiles, and I was like, I can't deal with all 50 of you, so I'm gonna like take some volunteers and make this free resource, and then everyone else can do their own. So like find a real problem and solve it for a real person, and then if that went well, I think that then you can move on to showing other people how to solve it for themselves.
So we probably don't like it. Probably better just to kind of focus on one small thing first before trying to get a whole course curriculum set up. Just kind of pick one thing, work on that, package that up, and then continue to build onto that.
I'm really glad you said that too. Or this is also the other spot where a lot of people never finish because they go, oh, I'm going to create a course on everything I learned on how to grow my audience on X. And then they're like, okay, a comprehensive resource on this topic. And they get into it and oh, this is a ton of work. This is like multiple months worth of work to create that resource. Way easier to create a profile optimization mini course. And that actually solves the problem that people can solve in an hour, which is actually more valuable than an 8-hour course. So I think that creating something small and shipping it quickly and getting that audience feedback and learning the whole process and having to, create the offer or give it a title or explain it or figure out the price. Like there's all these little things there. The bigger the project, the harder it is to do any of those to completion. And there's nothing more demoralizing than like putting 50 hours into something and realizing it's going to be 50 more till you're done, and you don't really feel like doing those other 50. Like you want to get it done. So
Yeah.
I know that we're talking about AI here, so and I'm dragging us down the creator path, but
No, I can
happy.
jump in too. My 10-year first business was in education and like giving people like content that was valuable. And I learned the hard way that the best thing you can do is learn alongside somebody and help them save them time and money, not present yourself as this know-it-all, like omnipotent, AI person who knows everything, but be like, hey, I've spent, 6 months or 8 months learning this because I'm passionate about it and I'm enjoying it. And I'm still learning as I go and I change my mind. But like, hey, if you want to save 6 months, like here's a $10 thing. Like as you grow your audience over and over and give value away for free, people vibe with you. And then it's really not weird when you're like, hey, by the way, like, would you like to sign up for this course or like buy this ebook? So like, and you're transparent. You're like, because I'm trying to make a career out of this and I can't feed myself on air. So I need to actually make ends meet and do this full time. If I want to, I need support. And the more honest and transparent you are with people about that, the better you are. I feel like sometimes the marketing side is just icky. People have a bullshit detector nowadays for everything. Like the second you feel icky, people just bounce. So like just being honest, transparent, patient, getting value away for free, like that's how you do it.
Yeah, and in the AI space, there's a lot of us who are out there and we're paying for Midjourney or Runway or whatever, and we're already investing some amount of money in this. And then we have time, and that time is getting chewed up and eaten by having to learn all these tools and figure things out. And many of us have, a salary, or we come from tech, or we're spending so many hours on this, and that's valuable to us. And to pay a little bit of money to skip some steps or to avoid the 10 hours of experimenting to figure out the thing that you already figured out with your 10 hours. It's like, yes, please let me fund your 10 hours of experimentation and give you some money in return for allowing me to skip having to do that. So I think it's a great opportunity, and things don't even have to be as polished because stuff is moving so fast. I would rather get the information I need right now as soon as it's available than get it in 6 weeks when you've made it pretty, right? So it's a cool opportunity, I think, for AI creators.
Yeah, there's a lot. Everybody on this call probably is interested in ways that they can monetize and what can they do, with what the skills they have. Because people here, everybody knows something that you could use to help somebody else, even if you don't think you do. You know more than the majority of the world, because outside of X, there's just not that much happening. It even on other platforms, it's not moving the same way as it is here. So we all have something that we can use to monetize and or to just um, do something with the knowledge that we have inside already. And it's not even competing with each other, because people learn differently from different people. They might like one person's style better on a recording. And even like it doesn't have to be a live course, right? It doesn't even have to be a call. You can go ahead and put it on a platform like a Kajabi, right? And have the pre-recorded courses or an email course.
And I would not think about competing at all. I mentioned Rachel Woods earlier. You can pay her $99 or whatever it is to join AI Exchange, or you can pay me $150 to join my AI Content Reactor course. Technically, there's some overlap there between these two things, but I find that most people who buy my stuff also buy her stuff or are interested in it. Like, we do so much better to work together and to pump each other up and to help each other and to share, in many ways, share secrets with each other, because it's like the market is hungry for this information, and it's also, I think that one of the things I like about AI is it's a lot of benevolent creators. It's a lot of people who want to kind of share and crowdsource, and like we've been hearing about with the T2 project. um, like these aren't your stereotypical like world destroying nerds, or I don't know what, like preconceived notions of AI fanatics, like people might have had in the past. But like this group is a whole bunch of people who love giving valuable knowledge away to each other quite a bit. Like, it's a good community. So on the one hand, yes, do the work so well that it justifies the cost. Like, it's very hard to put like 50 or 100 hours into something and then get $0 from it unless you just love it. And I think that nobody is going to judge you if you put some amount of time into something to make it useful to other people, and then you say, hey, I'm also going to charge money for this to make it worth my time. No one's going to judge you for that. But also, yeah, like, keep sharing and stuff. It's such a cool group, and especially people like on calls like this. I think if you look around and you scroll down, and this is like where it's happening. We all are part of something here.
Yeah, it's growing, and you do feel it, and we felt it for months now. And it was kind of at first, Robert Scoble, we were talking about the wolves in the wall, and holodecks, and it was just kind of like, what? But then what did Apple do? They announced, that it's like, oh well, maybe he was kind of right. But we still have moved so quickly. So in the last, has it been what, 8 months, 9 months or so? It's so crazy how much is going on. And what I wanted to ask, and I'll just throw this out there for people. I know one of the problems I have for getting things like this, projects together, getting a product together. I can't make Notion docs. I just can't do it. How do we find ways that we can communicate within this community, or even like, how could I change this recap into something where we could communicate, like, hey, who can do this, who can do that, can I hire you, pay you $50 to make a toolkit, make it, or put a Webflow page up, or do you have marketing skills, do you have copywriting skills, artist skills, production, who can do the post-production? How could we figure out a way, since we're on here? And Linus, we were talking about that, having a live, why don't we have a live event, but why don't we use what we have here and just have some kind of way? How could we put that together? Like a communication, a community forum or something, so that we could just share, if you like a classifieds or something like that. Anybody have any ideas? Anybody? Put it in.
What was the question?
I wanted to know, is there a way that we could find like a directory or some kind of way to communicate with all these people that come to regularly to this space, or that might want to come to this space, if they knew that they had a way to, if you want to get there. The things that hold me up are creating a Notion doc or some type of thing that I can use as a digital product or a download. That's the rate limiting step for me. So I have a bunch of ideas that I never materialize because I can't do that one part and I don't have the time. How do we find ways to share
maybe like
resources?
Maybe like an email notification. I think that will probably be something that you can consider. Sending out like an email reminder to regular attendees. I think that would probably be. I don't think a Notion doc would probably. I don't think it will apply here, but I think just like a email notification, something like that.
No, I meant like who could just create a Notion doc that I could end up using as a product, that kind of thing. How do I find people that can do those little things, and there might be something I could do for them? Go ahead, Taylor.
It's so funny that we're having this conversation, because like I feel like we've come full circle together as a community too, like just starting these things out and then moving into them really growing and it being like totally something that I think many of us look forward to every week as a community. And so like I remember months back, Heather, we were like, how do we like, firm this up a little bit? Like, let's create a space beyond just literally our Friday spaces. How do we do that? And what does that look like? So I think we definitely should put our heads together. And I think that anyone from this community is also welcome to weigh in on that. Because I do think like we do get, people who like request to speak, and organizing these things as it grows becomes more challenging. And we're all just a straggling group of creators who've come together online. So it does become challenging when we're not all sitting together in a room. But like it would be fun to try to like dissect this a little bit and figure out the best way to get everyone on the same page, and maybe like formalize some of these resources together for all of us.
What about a Discord like group?
I was thinking that too. You know me, I love Discord. I will be in Discord all day, every day. I know not everyone loves it though, so it can be a barrier of entry to some people. But I feel like if you're in this call and you're using Midjourney, then you're familiar enough with Discord. But I'm not opposed.
I love Discord. It's hard to keep up with though, certain channels and things, and so it has to be able to be a place where you can kind of come to participate, chat, and then leave. But I'll tell you, let me pitch this to you, Heather. You tell me if you think this is a good idea. I'm on a podcasting community on Discord, and they have two channels. One's called like Jobs Requested, and one's called like Jobs Offers. Or they have one basically for like, hey, I'm open for work. This is what I do. This is how you contact me. And one that's like, hey, I need someone to do this. This is what I need. And like as a podcasting thing, it's a lot of it's not like a full-time job. It's like I need a few episodes edited, or I need a voiceover artist for like a 7-second intro. And so it's really manageable. And if you go on there and you're like, oh, I could do that, and that would be like an afternoon's worth of work, and like I think it could go well. Now, in the context of what we were talking about here, we're talking about maybe even free or collaborative stuff. And then I think there's probably also some paid opportunities hiding around. I know I certainly sometimes want to hire some people from the community, and I don't know how to do it in a discreet enough way that I won't get slammed with 100 DMs.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if we did have a community and we had some channels where people could post what they need or what they can do, I feel like that might be a starting point. But once you get onto Discord, there's so much more that can happen, and those spaces evolve pretty quickly, or they need some purpose and some moderation. So it's not as easy as it sounds, but that's how
Actually,
I would do it.
no, that's great. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Something like that, where there's open communication. I don't have everybody's email, and that's just too hard to kind of go through those hoops. But that is exactly what I'm talking about. For that, jobs offered and jobs needed. Some of them could be paid. Some of them could just be you're networking, collaborating, and getting the opportunity to have proof of work, right? So, in some cases, but AI and design. Go ahead. You had your hand up.
Hi, Heather. Thank you for
No
having me.
problem.
Sorry I didn't make it to the beginning. I was talking to another friend about AI stuff, but I just wanted to point out about we were talking about Discord. Have you guys heard of Hive 3? Because Hive 3 is kind of like a community, and what they are doing, they're doing several things, but one of the big things that they're doing is create like a competitive league where every week there's like a competition with an assignment, and then people can make.
Yeah,
I actually
actually, no,
won second prize this
no,
week.
yes, congratulations.
And
I've talked about Hive 3, and I'm a part of that, going forward as an
okay,
ambassador. So, yeah, I'm
right,
familiar, and that is a good idea. And I know even within there, when you're doing the different competitions for different skills, you still need to find people like, well, do you have experience with, like, for the campaign where the challenge with the print, the Instagram style, who knows
yeah.
how this works, and who knows who would be better suited for that. Yeah, that's a good point though, and it's another community that does have people. Dave, who was speaking earlier there, he won the first prize. First week he won first prize. That was his shoe commercial, the
He did,
sneaker,
yeah.
solar sneakers. And then we have there's a bunch of us that are in this call right now that are participating in Hive 3, the competitive league. But
Okay.
no, thank you. That is a good point.
And this week also, that's what I wanted to add to it. This week they actually started a new initiative in there where people could like sign up for like the freelancers guild
Oh,
or whatever
I
they
need to check
call it.
that.
So I think what's going to happen is that as far as I can understand, I think Hive 3 is going to potentially find clients that need things and then maybe disseminate that among the people that are signed up for that freelancer thing. I mean, I'm in it, and I'm kind of interested in seeing how that's going to pan out.
Well,
So I've already done 2 paid gigs so far doing AI movies for clients. So
doing AI
I
movies.
already have,
Okay.
yeah, 2
So
videos.
when you did that, you just create the videos or did you edit them?
So The first one was a company that literally approached me through the contact form on my website, and they said, "Hey, we've seen all your stuff, and we have something that we need to done, and would you be interested in doing that?" And so I worked with them, and I made them like a promo reel. I think they used it at some kind of trade show in Vegas, and so that was good. And then the second one was similar to that, like a proof of concept that the customer needed, and based on a script that they had already written, and I implemented it basically. So yeah, those that was pretty cool.
I'm on mute. Thank you so much for explaining that and talking about that information. But that's a good point, and I think that Rob, that like the community aspect there, if we should form a new one, and I guess we can talk about that. All these people that show up here, come on, help me out with coming up with some ideas for how to do this, because
Well,
I'm tired of
I
like
just put
not
a poll
using it,
up.
not.
I pinned up a poll as well. So if you guys can participate in that, give us a little sense of how we might be able to organize something, because I definitely think it's
And
needed.
Tatiana put in the chat, I think she said that she is working on a Notion doc right now that has, let me look in the chat and see, because I appreciate that, Tatiana, because we just talent that we're not using, and there's a lot more that we could do. It seems like we could just find ways to work together, even for brands to test out, products like for Genmo. How do you know who to speak to? How do you know who to get that, who to test out these tools before you release them? Tatiana said she's working on a Notion doc with resources and people. Thank you, Tatiana. It's in the chat there. Yeah, please let us know how we can sign up on that, and just figure out ways. And I'm sure we have people here who know how to run communities pretty well. But if we're not aware that we do know Nem and Sway surely know how to run a community in Discord, at least for the Terminator 2, because that is highly organized. I appreciate that. But yeah, we have a lot of people that could be doing things, and we just have no idea. If somebody, even for this campaign that Thomas and I are working on, and we're doing other things. So what if we were going to offer our services to create something like that for a major team? What would you charge? We don't know how much to charge. How much time would be needed? What all should be included? What should you look for in a contract or an agreement? Like all these things. I mean, I can try to use Claude and ChatGPT, but it can only get you so far.
And chime in here, like if you are looking to get exposure, like might sound trivial, but like Upwork, just put your profile up there and make sure your profile is up to date and that it clearly states what type of AI services you offer, and you'll be surprised because there's a lot of requests coming through there, and just put your rate at whatever rate you think you are worth, and I'd say that there's a pretty healthy pipeline if you're looking to get work done. But what you're talking about, Heather, sounds like you want almost like a community of the regulars here, and like an easy way to see like what everyone's specific skills are. We have a lot of people in here that are niched within the space itself. Do we want like instant communication or open communication, or is it more of a directory where we need to find people and the communication is kind of private or not seen by everyone else? Like what's the general feel there?
I guess that would be something that we could poll about. But like for me, as far as like how fast the communication, I'm still working 9 to 5 because I haven't been able to monetize enough to get out of that. So I wouldn't be able to be around to, immediately get back, and I can barely keep up with DMs as it is. But people, I think it's definitely something that we could, going forward, since we're already communicating immediately here, and through Discord and different servers, I don't think it would hurt at all, and I don't think it hurts. Sometimes when people see what other people are listing as their skills, and the products that they can offer, that might spur you to think, oh, well, I didn't know I can edit this, or I can proofread that, or translate this. It might be a language or something that you might be able to translate something for somebody quickly, or just make sure it makes sense in the proper, grammatically correct. So something that you can't just generate AI for. How do you know? Is that how you would say speak Spanish in Spain versus in Colombia or something like that?
I just got to jump in. I was going to mention the Hive and the freelancing stuff, but I was literally writing the thread as we did it. So I'm glad that AI design jumped up. I do have to run, but I'll pin the thread to the top for people who made it late or couldn't make it. So hope you guys have a great weekend.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. Thank you. I just gave the mic to somebody. Where did they go? I think they dropped off. He had something with a dev, but
They got
yeah.
scared. I'll toss two quick insights into this conversation. So one of them is, for a community to work well, it needs to not be reliant on a single person to be like the figurehead of that community, in my opinion. That's just a really exhausting place to be, especially if it's a free community. And that person, that person is expected to really be there. So I would hate for like Heather to end up on a Discord server where she feels obligated to respond to everybody.
Thank
In my
you.
opinion, the idea would be that all the people who come to this Friday call, I would love to interact with just you guys because I trust you, I know you, you know me. Like this is just this random thing that happens on Twitter and Twitter communities and other, or Twitter. I can't give it up. X, Twitter community, X communities, all that stuff. It's not really conducive to like the 150 or 200 or whatever people who end up on this call this week to actually interact with each other. And the algo is extra weird lately too. I feel like it's even harder to get the people you want to get. So if we all had a town hall or a street corner or whatever it was that we could hang out at, I think that could be fun. And if we all participated and it wasn't just Heather and me and Linus and Taylor and whoever, because we're all busy in our own ways. If everybody wanted to participate, then that would be cool. If it was people wanting to bombard Heather, like I think that would be hard. And that could have areas that are more chat based, more real time, like more conversational, and it could have areas that are a little bit more like, I'm going to post what I can do, and this isn't intended to be a back and forth dialogue. This is kind of like a classified ad, and yeah, that's how I would do it. Because speaking from experience, is it overwhelming?
It's like
Yeah.
we need a subreddit for this community. So however we can make that happen, a subreddit where you can like collaborate or communicate in real time, because I think a lot of the magic happens too within communities when there's a community and then it starts to evolve where the community within the community takes on its own things. So it might not always be us in a call, but if there was a group within this community that wanted to get together and chat of just 5 or 6 people, like that should also be an option. But I definitely believe in sharing the labor on this one. So that was a really good call.
Thank you. That's why I was getting a little scared. Like I cannot volunteer I can't manage much outside of, I do a good job. I have 4 kids, but that's kind of keeping it, as high level as I can get. But yeah, definitely share the load and try to develop something. And Skyline, you got the mic now.
Yeah,
Do you have
thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so glad to join this community because I just checked my Twitter and I saw, oh wow, this is a live, talk here. So back to the topic, right? I just wanted to showcase because I'm a tech entrepreneur and also I do all kinds of projects. I have a very, very exciting, platform I wanted to showcase to your community. So it's basically perfect for open research and open collaboration like this. Because I heard about a lot of the creators, right? We are creators, builders over here. And then we actually can enable multi-creators, that type of initiatives. You can actually co-create together. So for example, you may like somebody team up, right? To have say, hey, let's do this a deep dive on this topic. Maybe we finish the research and we can come up with a course, right? So those type of from the research to project journey and to product journey, this platform can actually help you. By the way, I'm the founder for that platform. I've used that to collaborate with anyone I collaborate with. So I even collaborate with my virtual assistant. I say, hey, virtual assistant, here's a project I need you to work on, right? And it's very self-organized. So I hope I have opportunity to showcase to you guys. The platform is called yesspark.io, YESSPARK.io. So it's free, and I'm happy to showcase to anyone who is interested. That would be great.
Thank you so much. And can you put that in the chat too, like
Okay.
below, and just put a link there? So I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. I
Yeah.
definitely would like to talk to you. Hopefully, Tatiana said something about Tatiana. I'm trying to send you the mic in case you could, if you are able to speak, but about setting up a chat within the space. We'll get back to that in a second. I'm trying to read both, but user BenCat, did you have something to add?
Yeah,
Thank
my
you.
name's Kat. Thank you for letting me on. I just wanted to kind of chime in. I am a developer relations professional, which means I help facilitate all kinds of community work as a day job. And I would be, up for helping try to facilitate and maintain some of the launching of the community.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, we have all these people here, and you probably wouldn't have thought to ask for the mic. So I was just trying to look and see what your profile was about, and I do appreciate it. Because I know I respect people's time, and it's almost 2 hours, but this is something that we kind of let it go every week, and we don't ever really get to it. And we've been wishing since we started this, like we have so many people here that are talented that could contribute, and we don't do anything. We just we come hang out, and that's great, but how do we do a little bit more since we have all these resources? And we're not going to get this opportunity again. This is right now, as things are happening. They're happening quickly, but it's going to pass. And just look how much has changed already. And things that we thought we might be able to offer before is not necessarily going to be a thing soon. So I hope that we all can take advantage of that. Did I give the mic out? I'm trying to see, but thank you, Kat. If you can, if you send me a DM, I appreciate it. It might take me a second to answer back while I go through some, but please, I'd appreciate it. And I hope that we can all kind of come up with something of some kind of way to do this, manage this. Anybody else on the panel have anything to add? And I don't, hopefully this would be something where, is Paris still here, that like founders, they could use this also to test out products and to find the perfect candidates to get feedback from. Do you know of anything like that, Rob or Linus, anybody that about any kind of program where they put people together like that in network?
I mean, like I spoke about last week, Heather, I'm
That's
building
right.
Super New for this specific reason, right? Where the whole idea is to connect founders and builders with the right type of early users, to help them kind of like supersede their product market fit and get good feedback. And like the situation would be like the people getting early access are willing to go the extra mile to provide the feedback because of getting early access to new tools, and the founders or the builders would get high value feedback. So I think I'm happy to share more once I'm done with the moving, because I'm currently sitting like in a room full of moving boxes, and it's in the middle of the night. But yeah, we're making progress, slow and steady. So excited. You can go. I think I pinned the form. I'll pin a form to my profile, and people can add their tools there. For now, I got about like 500 submissions, and most of them, like 98% of them, is from founders directly. So a good amount of like products. And then on the user side, I think around 4,000 people signed up, willing to try out new tools. So slow and steady. I'm excited to get this off the ground.
I knew I heard somebody say that last week, and I hadn't gone back through the whole transcript, and I couldn't remember if that was you or not. But man, that many people responded. That's
Yeah.
crazy. So if you're listening now,
Yeah, I've been slowly doing this for the past few months. So
we just got to keep saying it on here. So just go check out Line.
Yeah.
No, seriously, because it's like, people that just came on for the first time, or they weren't here when we were talking about it. Thank you so much. If people go, make sure you go to Linus's profile, and yes, it'll help him in the algorithm. But yeah,
I'll pin something up here in the space. Hold on.
No, that would be great, because we just let this opportunity go a lot, and it just feels like, wow, we could do so much. We could have conferences, we could have town halls. That's a cool idea. I don't know exactly what when you say a subreddit, Taylor. How would that work? I mean, like how would
I
it
guess
how
I mean
happen, materialize?
more like the mechanism of a subreddit, right? Which is the purpose of a subreddit is it's like a niche community that comes together in one space online, sharing resources and can connect around this like shared interest or topic. And there's, it's subreddit maybe is the wrong example, but I'm a huge Reddit nerd myself, so it just makes sense because there's always a community for everything. But I think it, like even on this poll I posted up, a lot of you are saying Discord seems like it could be a place. I definitely think that prioritizing, uh, uh, efficiency and ensuring, like we talked about already, so that it's very manageable for us as well, and having some like moderators and stuff so it doesn't just all fall on one person. But it will be so nice to be able to have a space to connect, because even one of my biggest gripes with like Twitter Spaces is that after the space is over you can't see who was in it. So I always try to like screenshot them anytime I'm in a space so that I can go back and see some of the faces and people, make sure that I connect with them. But you can only see the speakers after. So it would be cool to have definitely this space where we can kind of connect outside of just these Friday moments. I'm excited for it.
That's a good point. And Discord's probably the easiest because it's just the easiest out of, I don't know what else I don't really care for Slack. I don't care at all for Slack. Telegram's cool, but I don't think you can do quite as much. And WhatsApp, I don't really do much there. So Discord, since we're in there anyway, a lot of us, it probably wouldn't be a bad thing. Space, I gave the mic. Spaces Dojo. Do you want to go ahead? Thank you for coming and speaking.
Sure. Thank you for having me here. I think I've been in one of your spaces a while ago. I'm not sure, why I missed the other ones, but thank you for hosting this. And I'm here to, provide any insights people might want, try to answer people's questions. I'm here.
What do you do? For like, so not to be, but like just tell us about what you do that we could ask the appropriate questions.
Definitely. So 2 things I focus on. One is I am a senior developer advocate at a startup. We do basically, a lot of data stuff, data engineering, data visualization, stuff like that. And on the side, I also work on let's call it an AI agent. Sorry, an AI agent in your code editor. So it's basically, you could call it a ChatGPT wrapper, but a little bit more advanced than that. That can work in a code editor.
So could you help develop some type of thing where we could have a bot for the Discord or something to help organize that or to onboard people?
Yeah, 100%. I think human intervention is still necessary no matter what tool you use. GPT-4 is the most advanced tool for coding. You can ask it to make, parts of the bot or the whole bot, but still, it'll probably make, one or 2 mistakes at least. So that's where a human comes in.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you so much for offering your services and your advice. Thank you. So we got something to work. So now we got to make a plan and let's give ourselves a deadline that before Christmas we can have something set up that we can actually communicate and just kind of hang out with people who think like us or who are into the same things and people that have different resources that we can exchange, talk about opportunities. Maybe you got to interview somewhere and you don't really know, or you don't know what questions to ask a potential client or something. That's always a helpful thing for people to offer some advice for that. And there's people that have experience doing lots of things. Go ahead, Taylor.
I am just going to throw out a bold proposition to you guys, but I love getting to know people. Like, I love when people speak at these things that haven't been on them before, haven't spoken at them before, because I think it's really cool. We get to learn from it, but you also get to be a voice and part of this, which is really special. I love this idea of meeting some of you guys that I haven't had a chance to talk to before. So I am proposing in some of our future spaces, Heather, if we can dedicate a few minutes or a segment of time to bring new faces up to just introduce themselves and what they're working on, just to kind of get some new voices in the mix. And we can limit it. We always get a lot of like speaker requests and things like that. So we'll have to figure out kind of a system that works for that. But
Well,
just a
that's
thought.
a good idea. Maybe we could do it since I'm still running this on my phone. Was trying to be a guest on my desktop last week, but it was not giving me. I couldn't get the microphone to work. So because it's hard to go back and forth and to make sure I can give you guys the mics, in case you guys can't, then if we know ahead of time, maybe we could do like you guys send some. We'll figure out a way like a topic, put out a post about a topic we're going to talk about or whatever, and just or you can just say reply back what you do and what you want to talk about, and then we can just go ahead and have it set up so you can come on up and speak. But yeah, that's a good idea, very good idea, because we do have a lot of people here that it's when I'm looking at people requesting the mic, I'm just trying to see like, what do you talk about? I don't want to just hand it out to anybody, although I know everybody here is great. But sometimes in the sake of everybody else's time insanity, we got to just make sure like, okay, is this relevant to the conversation? So it's hard to manage that way, but I would love to meet people, and I spend a lot of time just trying to meet new people, anybody who comments on my stuff, or if I just happen to see things that are interesting, just go and spend some time on their timeline. Thank you. That is an excellent idea. In Skykiss, we'll see what's up with you. How are you? Thank you for coming. What would you like to say?
Hi. Well, it's my first time in this space, and I have a general interest in getting into AI. I'm a self-taught in all the traditional mediums pretty much, and I went back to school to study computer graphics because I had just absolutely adored everything from the beginning of motion pictures all the way through VR, and my dream was to make my paintings come alive. And so, to make that jump between my freaky imagination and the beautiful landscapes in my head. And I'm currently without a laptop. The old laptop died, so I have to replace that. I'm strictly on my phone. So I just went to the Genmo website and Twitter page, and I'm just looking at it. I have a couple of friends. Generally, most of my Twitter for the last year and a half has been all about Ukraine, but I have a number of friends who are also musicians and other artists like myself, and I'm very interested in learning. I posted one thing on your in the comments that I'm just worried that I will want to spend like all my waking hours when I start working with this.
Yeah,
so,
that is definitely something that could happen, but
a big concern.
well, a great way to
Right.
learn would be to, like, we share so much, you can kind of go through and just look at people's the posts that they're putting out there, and you can learn a lot just from a lot of many of us include prompts or a description or a full tutorial even on how they went through something and created something. So I definitely recommend that you just kind of go through, and if you see something interesting, and that's a great way to learn. And then a lot of people, we have people here that are putting out full-fledged tutorials daily on all kinds of different, how to get an angle and different types of color combinations, or anime shots, cartoons, or you could do cinematic. And so just spend time and work on one or two a day, and then you will know pretty quickly. And I applaud you for even attempting, and it's a great thing. You will be tempted to be on there a lot, but it's
Yeah. So for beginners, do you suggest Midjourney, or are there other AI apps that I can use on my phone?
Yeah. There's plenty, and I would suggest, like, there's all kinds that you could use. You could start out with, honestly, Lexica is free to use, up to like 100, and that has a large library of different images you can look at and just regenerate those. You can see the people's prompts. Leonardo AI is one where you have to sign up for it, and they'll put you on a whitelist, but they give you access within a day or so, and that's free unless you want additional hours. There's just tons of different things. There's free apps, Utopia, depending on what you're comfortable with, that are strictly for the phone or mobile app. So Midjourney's not, you would have to, Midjourney's probably pretty complicated unless you're familiar with Discord, because you can only operate it through Discord, and you can do that through your phone, but it's a couple of extra steps. But there's plenty of different apps. Just start with something basic that you don't have to go too detailed with prompts.
I'm still learning Discord. I'm in, I think, 3 Discord groups right now. So one of them is new, and this would be a 4th.
Oh, then if you're are you in the Discord groups for AI art?
Not yet.
Oh,
no,
okay.
no.
Well,
no. It would be this group would be my 4th, because the other 3 are not related to AI.
Oh, then, I mean, it's up to you. Basically, whatever you feel comfortable with. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any particular I can't come up with one. I don't know if anybody can help me with that, but like the easiest thing for a beginner. There's so many of them.
Well, there are tutorials for
There's
everything.
some
So
that are
I mean, I taught myself
simple.
HTML. Back in 1996, HTML, we had online tutorials everywhere.
That's true, and they do now too.
Yeah,
I applaud that. Thank you so much for trying it out. Good luck to you. I appreciate it. Dave?
For image generation, I use draw things, and you can run it free on your phone, on your phone's own inference and power, and you can use free Stable Diffusion based models. That's draw things.
Thank you. She said draw on the phone. That's an app. Thank you. There's so many now that honestly, I'm not even sure where I would start if I was just beginning at this moment. Thank you. Dave, thank you for stopping up here. Please feel free to go ahead.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey.
Obviously, I've kind of gotten to know you recently, and I just wanted to say hello, say 2 quick things. First of all, I'm not trying to shine you guys, but mad respect. This is the first call I've finally been able to make the whole thing. It works out pretty well. Just get to enjoy listening and driving. So mad respect. Not trying to shine you, but I just love it. A lot of people I look up to, and just respect. But also, it's crazy. I'm looking at everybody on it, like a ton of friends, like people I follow, people that follow me, comment with them. So it's just super fun. This AI community is something else. It's the first one I've ever felt comfortable with, just when it comes to social media. So I kind of despise social media for the most part, and I have, but ever since getting on X and kind of meeting this community, it's just been amazing. So I feel blessed. I just had to say that. The only other thing I was going to offer was that everybody's kind of just talking about different stuff. You guys kind of opened up the mic, said, hey, raise your hand. So I've been obsessed with the art and science of storytelling for the last 15 years. And so if anybody just wants help with that, the nuances, even just when it comes to filmmaking, done 7 of them, I just hit me up, DM me, anything, because I just love it. And if I can help you, that's great. I feel like it's helped me with just some of my growth recently. So I haven't talked about it as much in my feed. I'm starting to, just been kind of obsessed with making AI videos and stuff. But if anybody wants any help with that, feel free to reach out. Obviously, you can use different AI chatbots for story development. But obviously, with all these things, the more you know about them, the better you can navigate in those conversations and getting the best output you want. So that's all I really had to say. But much love to everybody on here. It's just crazy to look at everybody on here and know so many people. So fun
Well,
stuff. Thank you.
thank you, Dave, and thank you for hanging out because yeah, we just kind of ran into each other, and I think you were, on Chris Casanova, the comments. I've seen you, and we see people throughout the community like that. So I appreciate you coming, and we've been doing this for a while, hanging out, and it is a great community, and we don't have a bunch of nonsense. There's a lot of different spaces, but so far we've been able to keep it so that we have some really great conversations and people. Erica Schneider, thank you. I feel all honored because I love Erica and Rob, and they've been joining lately. Thank you so much. I'm just thrilled because this has been since before AI, and things like that. It's just so great to be able to just kind of hang out and talk about these things. And there are a lot of things like I just bought. I'm going to plug the hooked on hooks, you guys, because it is good. And you might think just because you are into AI art or film, whatever you're doing, you still, it doesn't matter. It's invisible if nobody reads it, and if you can't capture people's attention by the way you structure your post on any platform, it doesn't matter what you're producing. You're just throwing it out there into the wind. So I recommend like spending some time learning how to craft content and craft it in a way that is easy for people to understand, clear, and the message matches, and that it's said in a way, the copywriting is excellent, or a way that is just actually going to capture people's attention. That's very, very important. And my mentor Thomas taught me a lot through that too, and how to like navigate the game of Twitter and now X, and how these things work, and how you write for the algorithm, and when you schedule posts and things like that. Things are a lot different now, and it doesn't seem to matter. But thank you so much for coming, Erica. And Rob and Erica, thank you for putting that course out there. That was well worth like $150. And I have swipe files. I used one today for another, another. Even for visuals, I still use the hooks. So the different styles and just thinking about what you're trying to tell, the visual storytelling. Dave, thank you for explaining that too. Because when you go get ready to generate images, like what are you going to do with them? Do you have any kind of plan and how you decide do you have any advice for, say I wanted to make a trailer for something, I'm interested in sci-fi, what would be the first thing you do before you just sit down and just generate a bunch of images?
Well, yeah, that's the first thing. It's good that you know your genre. Kind of figure out what your genre is. Hopefully, you know your audience. When it comes to storytelling, the main thing is to show a transformation. I mean, that's what a story is. Make sure it's very simple, right? I mean, a story has a beginning, middle, and end. But a lot of people with their AI videos, I'm seeing that they're not really editing them much, and they're just kind of throwing the same shot together. And then it's kind of like, hey, a short film, and it is. And I got respect for anybody that's putting anything out there. It's just if you want to try and have it hit a little bit harder, what you want to do is just make sure you have hopefully a focal character, like a focus character that you're going to take through a journey. I mean, just a quick example, and it's a very silly one, but for a thread I had done, just a parachuter, somebody walking up. I mean, I know I wanted to have them start somewhere, go have an experience, and then through that experience, something changed in the end. And in that example, when I done a thread on the new camera controls in Runway, I had, it was like an 11-second video, and it was very quick shots. Most of them were all sped up. But what I did was just have somebody outside walking up to an airplane with a unique shot, had them in the airplane, a couple different shots, lots of movement, different camera angles, them actually ejecting, jumping out, parachute coming out, them going down, having fun. And then at the bottom, they got at the end of the video, it's just them with a thumbs up and a big old grin on their face, right? So, I mean, they actually had an experience. So the main thing is just have a character or a situation going through a transformation, because that is what your audience wants. Above all, they want to feel something, when they want to have an emotional connection with what's happening on the screen. So that's the quickest, shortest tutorial I could probably
Well, thank
offer.
you. So, like, if you have that in mind, then you probably don't need to generate that many different individual clips, right? Where you could kind of just, if you, for each shot, for each scene, you maybe just generate a few, like 2 or 3, and then instead of just kind of randomly generating and making, I try to put a story together after the fact and see how can I use these images, but that doesn't make any sense.
They both work. I mean, traditionally there's the pantser and then the plotter. I kind of alternate between both. So, I mean, really it could work. I mean, my opinion still is kind of like having an idea of what you want to happen and the experience you want to take your audience on, help save time. But sometimes you can't do that. You kind of just got to play with it, with the story or where you want to get, and get images to get maybe inspiration or ideas before you put it together. So both works. I do the whole, like, my whole thing is like plotting by the seat of your pants. Like, you just gotta kind of have that structured frame of mind, but then also understand you can go any which way. It's okay to divert. So I do the plotting by the seat of your pants thing.
Oh, thank you. You made me feel a lot better. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm like,
Everybody's got their way. Everybody's got their creative process. You got to honor that. Just kind of hopefully save yourself time. That's the main thing. What's going to help you kind of come up with a process that works and is repeatable.
that's true. And then, yeah, what you're able to generate, because if you already, depending on what the images are like that you're starting with, if you're not just creating a full video from that, then it would take some time to put that together. Thank you.
Yeah, last thing I'll say, truth is, I mean, you can go to any chatbot and basically get ideas. It's going to do a pretty decent idea, or give you a pretty decent plot line of what to do. It's just, I mean, how are you going to make it different, or how are you going to make it special and put your human stamp on the AI?
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Erica, thank you for coming. Hello. I hope the babies are doing well.
Hi. Yeah, they did not nap very well today, but we just got them down, and hopefully they'll do their thing and sleep through the night, which they've been doing for a few months now, which is amazing.
Lucky you. And we just, everybody knows we have a few twin parents. Rob, I didn't know that you were a parent of twins too. And anybody who are out there, anyone else, welcome. But yeah, I'm a twin mom. Erica, Rob, we all got our twins, so we have that bond together. But go ahead, please. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me. No, I saw that you were hosting this, and I saw Rob was in here, and to be honest, I didn't really pay too much attention to the AI community until recently, because as a writer, it's been a little bit scary, to be honest. You know, like, are these tools going to somehow take our jobs? Like, are you know, as an editor as well, it's like, how do I know if the person that's sending me this used AI? And you know, it which is kind of ironic, because sometimes the AI can actually be better than some new writers. So it's just, I've come to the conclusion that it is what it is, and I'm going to embrace it like crazy. And ever since I've done that, I've just been having so much fun, and now I've got that like spark of, I need to learn everything I can as fast as I can, because I need to catch up. So yeah, I'm going to be trying to listen to these more often.
No, thank you. And that's a good point too, because like on Medium, I know a lot of people, half the articles are why you shouldn't, or what ChatGPT cannot do for you, and why you shouldn't use this, and all these different tools that can catch AI content. And I don't really pay much attention to it, but I don't want to be insensitive, because there's a lot of people out there that do feel like that, right? Where you're not sure if it's going to be your expertise level. I don't know how to explain it exactly, that you'll be diminished if people start using more AI copywriting tools.
Yeah, I think the thing is, like, you in the content marketing world especially, like, you can pay a pretty high value to someone to write a good article, and does that then change if it only takes, you know, a fraction of the time? And that's just a debate. It's just one of the many debates that people are having, and I honestly don't really know where I fall on that yet, but it's just all very interesting, you know, because you've got this process of, it takes this much time, it requires this much research, this much thinking, and you want it to be quote unquote original. And can AI do that? Is it going to hallucinate information? Is it going to be factual? Like, these are things that matter. So it's all just very interesting. But on social, luckily for all of us, the truth, can be skewed a little bit. Nobody's actually 99% better than everyone. So if people are out here, saying that all day, then it's okay if it's not perfect. There's a different vibe here. So I am all for using it like crazy here. But I also think it's really important to understand how to edit it so that it still looks and sounds and feels like you, which is just really important, to standing out.
Yeah, it seems like for me, it was able to expand how much I could do. It increased the level of things that I could accomplish and the content that I could research and go into. And I look at it like that, like as a research assistant, or to kind of summarize things quickly or reword something to be more clear. Like, do you have any suggestions for how people could use it to help them quickly get their content out there so that they don't have to spend as much time?
I mean, I think you need to have a good prompt, right? So like you still need to understand principally what hooks people and what keeps their attention. And if you don't understand that and you rely on, something else, unless you have a good prompt that is solid and is trained in a way that's going to get you there, it can be difficult. So I still think it's really important to understand principally how to hook people and how to keep their attention. And then, it depends on who you are, but generally the experience I've had, and Rob, feel free to chime in, is just, it seems to be a little bit verbose, and it goes to these kind of like cheesy phrases in most of the outputs that I've been using. And so I see that and I'm like, okay, I would never say that. Or there's just a much simpler, snappier, punchier way to say that. So you can ask it follow-ups and all of that, but it's quite yeah. Rob, what were those two phrases that you said it was using a lot of lately that made us laugh?
Game changer and deep dive.
Yeah, game changer and deep dive. So it does a lot of that, where it's like, okay, and also I think probably the best takeaway is the AI does this, and so do writers that are not as experienced, or even experienced writers that just haven't self-edited because they were writing quickly. You'll say something that's a bit general and forget to make it specific. So for example, I'm going to help you find success, or I'm going to help you reach your goals. And it's like, well, what does that mean? What does that mean specifically to your audience? It's going to be a very different type of reader that you're speaking to, depending on what that extra level of specificity is. You don't want to attract every single person to read your content. Like, you want to narrow it down so you're speaking to a specific group of people that you're actually getting with. And so I've noticed a lot as well that unless you tell it to be very specific, it will come, something that writers do as well. They'll just have these like very generalized outcomes that don't really mean much, and don't really do a great job of communicating what you're going to get when you actually read the thing. So I would look out for those kind of nebulous general words and try to make them more specific.
Well, thank you. And I'm going to wind down now, and just people, and I appreciate everybody that was requesting the mic, but we've been on for 2.5 hours. So I just thought of something, because I was going to pick your brain for a second, Erica. But if we could go around, and the panelists, if you could give everybody who has a mic, tell me 2 things that you really love, two tools you use that are really helpful, and why. AI tools. It could be, so it doesn't have to be like something related to AI art, just whatever. Like, I find, like, when I'm writing a story, I get the SEO description and title. I like to run that through, because it's not going to show up right on but so to help with the search results, right? And things like that. So that might be a prompt that I use in ChatGPT, or maybe Perplexity and different things like that. But I'll go first. Mine, the two tools that I use all the time that I will just die using Mem. Thank you, Rob, for pointing that out in one of your earlier content reactor courses. I use Mem all the time. I don't use Obsidian or Notion or anything like that anymore. I just use Mem, and I just send it at mem.ai, and I also forward my emails there, and I create stuff there. And the AI writer is really good. I don't use it very rarely, but I use it because it self-organizes my notes, and I don't have to hunt for it. And I can also send my own post there, and other people that I would like to read. I have some of you guys in there, and everybody on the panel. I have some of your stuff saved in my Mem already, so it's my brain and that, and probably right now my mind. I use that a lot now too, and that's so I can just grab articles or YouTube videos or a tweet or a post, copy and paste something, put a note in there. It even has, I forgot to mention, it can find the colors. It'll create a color palette for if you have a picture of whatever on there, it'll give you a little color palette if you have the paid plan. But those are my two. So who's next? Dave, you were on the mic last or before Erica. What are two AI tools that you use?
Well, I'm still pretty committed to ChatGPT. I'm an overthinker. I always have been, and it hasn't really gone away with AI. So I write a lot. So I'll often run stuff through that just as a backstop. Man, I got to get on that Mem though. I'd actually invested in Rob's course too, and I didn't really jump on it. But as far as another one, I don't know about anything that's a really big one outside of major players like Midjourney and other ones.
What about editing tools?
Sorry.
Since you're a producer, like what do you use for editing?
So I know CapCut's huge, but I'm a major Final Cut Pro player. So I am in the Apple sphere, and that's when it comes to like just motion and stuff like that. I used to do a lot of motion graphics, and I use their Apple Motion, but I'm a Final Cut Pro guy for the most part. But then I used to use a lot of transitions and visuals from Motion VFX and stuff like that. But I kind of just got most of it. I'm really just like a Midjourney creator, and then I'm animating it in different stuff using different video generators, and then I'm just trying to put together a story. And then, I mean, even for story development, I use ChatGPT a lot. I'm trying to get a short film done here before the end of this month to enter into a festival. So those are my main I'm a very simple person. I'm not a prompt savant like you guys. I respect all the game, and I use a lot of stuff you guys put out, but I'm just a simple person. I'm really trying to focus on what I do, and I just kind of like to tell stories.
Well, thank you, and that helps somebody hearing that just how you use ChatGPT. Appreciate it. That's exactly what I wanted to ask people. And I'll ask Rob. You might know more than anybody. Britta put in the chat: is there something similar to Mem that Android users can use? Britta, I didn't know that it was iOS only. Thank you for. Is it iOS only? Rob, do you know about that?
Does Mem have a standalone app that's available for Android and Windows? I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Man, no, I didn't even think about that. So that does make a difference when I'm using that as one of my go-tos.
Yeah, and I'm in a louder place. Sorry if there's background, but I have some tools to talk about. I actually gave up on most AI tools because they tended to be wrappers of like ChatGPT or Stable Diffusion, and I found that learning to just prompt well, I could do better than a lot of the tools I was testing, and I stopped testing them. The one wrapper tool that I still use that's awesome is Perplexity, which actually runs with Claude or OpenAI's models in the background, but somehow they do some magic with it, and it works better, faster, stronger. Big fan of Perplexity. I use Obsidian for my notes now. Sorry, Mem. Just partly because I needed something that felt more like a notepad. But in the Obsidian community plugins, and I can't remember the name of it, but there's a ChatGPT one where basically it gives you a little ChatGPT chat box inside your Obsidian, and you can chat with your Obsidian note. And so it's like always being able to run like a chat with your docs, but having your doc is like literally already there. So I do like that one, and it's enabled me to do some interesting workflows and because you know how ChatGPT prompts and you have your note there, pretty awesome. So those are definitely mine, but really, like, I'm just using the core 5 right now, like Poe.com, Claude, ChatGPT, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, Photoshop, Generative Fill. Like that's mostly my stack. 11 Labs. Like it's just the big players at this point that have retained me. So I don't know if you guys actually have new AI apps, but I got kind of burnt out on testing them.
No, I still use quite a few, and probably, but I do have like the main ones that, like I said, Mem. I'm still, because it's always up on my desktop. But then I have a Mac too. But yeah, no, that helps. It still helps even me to hear it. I know people hear. It helped them to hear what your stack is. Taylor, you had a question?
I was going to, yes, echo that sentiment that it could just be ChatGPT and Midjourney, or insert large language model here and Midjourney. For the most part, that's me. But I was talking to Matt Wolfe a couple weeks ago, and we were both gushing over how much we are obsessed with Feedly, which is a feed curation tool that basically you can pull in all of your different media sources in one place, and you can categorize it. So if you're looking at like news or topics or, you know, Google Trends, these kinds of things, you can put it all together. But they have this feature that's like an AI feature called Leo. And it's so good. It's so amazing. It basically just brings together all of your different feeds that you've curated and creates an AI enabled feed to serve up what it thinks that you would need in that moment. And it's extremely accurate. Like, I've never been displeased with it. Artifact is another one that I think rolled out sometime earlier this year. I want to say it finally came out of beta, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's by one of the former creators of Instagram, and it is also an AI enabled feed as well. It does a pretty good job of kind of, it has a much easier user interface. So when you go in, and like the onboarding is very, very simple, but it definitely curates like a nice, very personalized feed for you based on what you click, based on what you save, interact with, that kind of stuff. So
cool. Yeah, Feedly.
Those are two big ones.
Matt just did that on. He talked about it on one of his shows recently, or two of them actually. But yeah, Feedly. That sounds like a good idea. And Artifact. I didn't realize that one. Huh. So
yeah, Artifact is awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. Space. Space's Dojo. I gave you the mic back real fast. Did you want to tell what are your top 2 apps?
Top 2 apps. I want to give honestly top 1 because ChatGPT. I know it's everyone's top 1, but like I said earlier, you know, I looked at, you know, it's some data on different LLM models, open source ones, Claude. ChatGPT is still number 1, especially GPT-4. So that's what I mostly use. I've played around with, you know, Midjourney and other image models a little bit, but honestly, I'm not an expert on that. I am an expert on ChatGPT, how to use it, stuff like that. So I'm just here to, you know, answer any questions about that.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And let me see, Alie, if you're able to?
Yes, I can talk. Not in the car, as I usually am. Mine are the same. Perplexity. I use that every day. It's open all the time. And Claude and ChatGPT. So that's not really just one. I mean, 2, a total of 2. I use both Claude and ChatGPT, and that's because I do a lot of comparisons as well. So it's more for research as well. But for writing type purposes, I use Claude more. However, I would still argue that I'm using my brain even more so than that. So I don't always trust what I get. And I'm using the human in the loop in this case and overriding if I don't like something. And then, of course, Midjourney. So that's more than 2, but those are like my go-tos. And I use a bunch of other things too, but those are the main ones.
Thank you. That's very cool. And your class starts next week, right? Monday.
Yeah.
All right. Mid-Journey. Allie's course will be online. So everybody check that out. And Erica, did you tell me yours? I was going around my screen here. Did you tell me your two tools?
I mean, I wouldn't classify myself as anyone that has the right to have an opinion here because I'm so new to
Yeah,
this.
but you are an editor and you do like, because it could be something. I am honestly interested in what you use for editing too, or like for even like the headline analysis. Do you ever use things like that, or do you just like go based on your
I
own?
mean, okay, so I mean, I guess does Grammarly count? Because
Yeah.
I don't pay attention to most of its suggestions, but it's very good at catching certain things. So I've always got that on. There's an SEO keyword tool called ClearScope. But that was around before AI, but I believe it's got some interesting capabilities now that we use. And
What kind of capabilities? I am curious for the keyword.
I think that it's very good at generating, like pulling in all of the top articles and giving you potential outlines that you can, like how you can structure it based on the intent of the keyword, which is really, really helpful when you
Like on
are
screen,
trying to
on screen SEO.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
What's it called again?
Yeah. ClearScope.
ClearScope. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And then ChatGPT is the one that I've had open for the past month that I'm just starting to play around with. If anyone has any, like if there's any editing tools out there, I would absolutely love to test that against my knowledge and just do a lot of playing with that. Does that exist?
Oh yeah, there's a ton of that, and I hope they're listening. Editing, people with editing tools, extensions, whatever. I get lots of requests for different things. Erica will test it and see if it's really if it can
Yeah.
handle, if
Ooh,
it can
this could be a
face.
fun
Yeah,
challenge.
no. Oh, we can do some. There's some content, future content, Erica. No, seriously, because it's like I try to use this stuff, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm not an expert on it, but I love trying different things to see how well it will rewrite this or how well it will structure your email. Even there's a lot of ones like that, right? That'll reply to different emails or messages.
Yeah.
Or component. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's Lavender for writing sales emails.
There's a bunch of I got to think about it. There's a bunch of stuff out there, but yeah, just have it, see if it can stand up to the test of an expert there. Ooh, we can write something. Okay.
That would be fun. If anyone can think of anything, please DM me because that could actually be very fun.
Yeah. Everybody listening, please do. And Erica, you have your the hooked on hooks is over, but do you have anything else? Might as well. I said, let's plug ourselves real fast and get up out of here.
Sure. Yeah, I've got a cohort coming out in early November with Casey Jones on how to build and scale your business via a personal brand or a personal platform, as we call it.
Perfect. So pay attention, guys. Yeah, I purchased courses from them, from Erica and from Rob, and I say it's definitely worth it. And sometimes it just helps. It's like that thing where your value time, your value tax. I think that's what's called, right? Spending less time on something and just getting the information you need and knowing where to look for it. Sometimes it's helpful. It's dependent on what it is you're working on. So don't look for people who know what you're talking about. And Eric used to be a ghostwriter on Twitter. It's funny because last summer, the Twitter bros and all that, it's funny because it's so different now. It's like I don't even see any of that content anymore. It could be just because I'm so enmeshed into AI.
I think the tide is turning.
Yeah.
Or I've just spent so long making fun of all of them that they've all blocked me. It's one of those two things.
No, it's funny because no, I think the tide has turned, and even the way the engagement is, it's just not the same, and people they're not able to get engagement and impressions the way they were before. So no matter what they're writing.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that there's been a shift from how to how I content and storytelling is seems to be really important. And if you are someone that just copy pastes, really, really valueless stuff, then it's not going to perform as well. And I think people are cottoning on to that.
Yeah, the platitudes and mindset and the eating 6 eggs a day or whatever. Running that, it doesn't really sell anymore because it's not really solving the problem at this moment.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. Well, thank you so much. And Linus, I know I'll let you go. So I'm sure you're ready to just if you're even awake still.
I'm here.
What's your
It's 1:44
Oh,
a.m.
thank you so much. Yeah, this is it. This is Taylor, and no, Taylor already went. So just Salma, and that's it.
My favorite tool. Let's go. You know it all. It's Midjourney. That's it. I'm too much in love with Midjourney.
You got to have one more thing. What do you use for posts, like after that, editing, anything like that?
Yeah, well, I like someone mentioned they have Perplexity open. I do have that as well. And in terms of LLMs, like last week I said, I'm in between Claude and ChatGPT, and it's still the same. I'm kind of going in and out of those, so it's hard. I'm waiting for things to be less tool heavy, but for now, this seems to be where we are poised to be at, just flipping around in the different tools.
Okay. Well, thank you. Last night I did spend a little time messing around with the Bard. With the Google extensions, and it was kind of interesting. And I understand that they're not available in Canada and not sure where else. So I apologize to Canadian friends, but I did find it interesting. Just asking it questions about my emails because I have thousands of unread emails or can't remember where I put something, and it was able to give a decent response. So it was kind of useful, but all you have right now is the Google extensions. You don't have any third party yet. But that was my 2 cents. But Salma, please go ahead and then we can say goodnight.
Yeah. So I use Midjourney almost every day, Stable Diffusion as well, and of course my own tool, Create. And well, that's like 3 tools. But yeah, like those are the 3 main tools that I use. If I had to pick between all 3 of them, it'd probably be Midjourney and Create.
Very cool. Well, of course, you better support your own, and that creates for the product placement, and it's an amazing tool. It's still in beta.
Yes, it's still closed beta, and we should be launching around towards the end of the year, so like around November. So we're going to probably do another soft launch in October. So definitely going to be making an announcement in the next few weeks.
Okay. Well, thank you. Everybody pay attention to Salma's profile because if you have a product and she has this software that is an app that will place it for you. It's 3D. You can turn it around 360 degrees. It's really cool. And you can put it into a Midjourney background. So congratulations to you. It looks like it's going to be really revolutionary.
Thanks, Heather. Thank you.
Well,
thank
you guys all for coming, and I will see you. I think I'll be here next week. I'm not sure because I think I'm gonna have to go on a college university visit with check out one of my sons. So maybe not next week, but hopefully immediately after that. Matt will be back, I think. And the rest of you all, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. And we'll have lots to talk about. But yeah, let's try to find a way that we can make a community and we can use our resources to benefit everybody. But have a great weekend.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
Oh, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Good night, guys.